Chapter 1500. In the end, Yi Wanwan directly drove to the location of Emperor Ji's faction. Big Dipper and Seven Star were worried, so they followed her. The whole drive there, Big Dipper tried his best to persuade Yi Wanwan, but she remained unperturbed and unmoved. As they spoke, the bright red Ferrari drifted and arrived in front of an ancient European-style building. Through the window, they could see a group of people walking out of the building. The leading man with his elegant and graceful aura and gentle bearing was Emperor Ji. Walking behind Emperor Ji were a few higher-ups from Emperor Ji's faction and several leaders from other organizations, all influential figures in the independent state. They probably just happened to be discussing some business together today. Emperor Ji, will you grace me with your presence and share a meal with me? I've already booked the hotel. Several powerful figures extended invitations simultaneously. Inside the car, Big Dipper wanted to cry when he saw how many people there were. There were so many respectable and prestigious figures there. If Sis Feng really did carry out her plan in front of everyone, he didn't want to imagine the scene. What thanks? Sis Feng, you aren't giving your thanks. You know that trying to hide it just makes it more conspicuous, right? You're trying to cover your ears while stealing a bell. You should know Sima Zhao's trick is obvious to every man on the street. Yi Wanwan rubbed Big Dipper's dog head and opened the door to leave. On the other hand, Ji Xiuran was about to respond when his eyes caught something nearby. The people around him all automatically followed his gaze. Everyone watched as a bright red Ferrari stopped in front of the entrance with a screech. A moment later, the door opened, and a handsome and lively girl wearing black tight-fitting clothes with her hair in a ponytail exited the car, causing the viewer's eyes to brighten. Who is that girl? A leader murmured. Yi Wanwan had been doing things pretty high-profile lately, so someone soon recognized her. A shocked exclamation was heard from the crowd. Bai Feng. Isn't that Bai Feng? Bai Feng? That Bai Feng? How many Bai Fengs are there in the independent state? Of course it's the president of the Fearless Alliance, Bro Flattop. What? Bro Flattop? Everyone's expressions shifted when they heard the words, Fearless Alliance, and Bro Flattop. The Fearless Alliance was truly worthy of being the most notorious faction, their name was truly deafening. Are you mistaken? Bro Flattop is actually a delicate girl like this, someone asked with disbelief. Another person asked, delicate? Are you kidding me? Earlier, Ling Hua from the Ironhead gang arrived on their doorstep to pick a fight with them, and he ended up being pummeled by Bro Flattop single-handedly. Everyone was horrified when they heard this, and many people subconsciously retreated. Ling Hua was a ruthless character in the independent state. He was destroyed and replaced by the Fearless Alliance back then. To their surprise, he made a comeback several years later, only to be pummeled and beaten black and blue once again. After their president disappeared, the Fearless Alliance wasn't as powerful as before, but it appeared they were about to make a resurgence. Why did Bro Flattop come today? She can't be seeking trouble again, right? The Fearless Alliance is utterly egotistical. This is Emperor Ji's territory. How dare they act so insolently? Ahem, they're the Fearless Alliance. What don't they dare to do? Didn't they eliminate several of Emperor Ji's branches a few years ago? We should snuff out such malignant tumors in the independent state. That's right. Although everyone was screaming for blood, no one dared to step forward. Chapter 1501. Who was willing to offend a faction like the Fearless Alliance? They'd merely be asking for trouble. It was fine when Bro Flattop went missing, but now that she was back, the Fearless Alliance was probably going to return to its peak, and no one would dare to provoke them. At the same time, because everyone was focused on Bai Feng, no one noticed a black car without a license plate was slowly driving toward them on the other side of the road. Oh damn, what's going on? Lin Kei acutely noticed the nearby situation and quickly steered the car to park to the side. Ninth brother. Look. Isn't that Yi Wanwan? In the back seat, the man who kept his eyes closed the whole time slowly opened his eyes. His icy eyes turned to the nearby building. Soon, he saw a girl leading a few people, stopping in front of Emperor Ji and a group of leaders. Because they weren't too far, they could faintly hear the conversation. Damn! What's happening? Why is that girl at Emperor Ji's headquarters? Lin Kei's face was nearly pasted to the window. They had business matters to deal with today. Originally, they didn't have to pass by this spot, but it had been a few days since that girl, Yuan Wan, was poisoned by Love Gu, and there hadn't been any reactions or visits from her. Hence, he couldn't help making a detour over here. What he didn't expect was to run into her while passing by Emperor Ji's headquarters before they reached the Fearless Alliance. In the midst of an ocean of cautious gazes, Yuan Wan raised her hand and waved at them with a smile. Hey, everyone. I trust you've been well since we last met. Everyone looked immensely disdainful. Bai Feng, what do you want to do? Someone shouted admonishingly. Yuan Wan grinned and said, Don't worry, I just came here to have a few words with Emperor Ji. Came here for Emperor Ji. Everyone looked at each other, caution building in their eyes. Does Bro Flattop want to cause trouble again? Ji Xiuran wore a warm smile as he gently looked at her. May I ask what business President Bai has with me? Ah, there's business, there's business. Yuan Wan turned her head and said to Big Dipper and 7 Star, why are you standing around? Hurry and open the trunk. Big Dipper, I'm already dead from short-circuiting, Yuan Wan glowered at him. Don't make me kill you myself. Big Dipper had no choice but to close his eyes, grit his teeth, and forcefully press the remote control to open the trunk. Oh, shit. Be careful, everyone. Draw back. Draw back, everyone. Be careful, Emperor Ji. When everyone saw Yuan Wan ordering Big Dipper to open the trunk, they thought there was a trap stowed in the trunk and they turned pale with fright. Only Emperor Ji calmly remained in place, his gaze on the girl unchanging. Inside the black car, Lin Kei's eyes shot open. There aren't explosives in the trunk, right? The man in the back seat kept silent, quietly sitting there like a recently awoken beast. In the next second, the trunk lid rose slowly. Under everyone's terrified gazes, the lid finally opened completely, revealing the trunk, brimming with roses. Chapter 1502. It wasn't a trap or explosives, it was a trunk full of fresh and vivacious white roses whose petals were still gleaming with dewdrops. Beautiful and alluring. Silence descended on everyone as they became dumbstruck. It turned out to be our roses. What's going on? Everyone looked baffled. Yuan Wan looked at Emperor Ji and said languidly, just a small present as my thanks to you. Do you like them, Emperor Ji? When Yuan Wan finished speaking, someone's sword fell and loudly clattered onto the ground, followed by a wave of shocked gasps. Everyone looked at Yuan Wan like they'd seen a ghost. Shit. What did they see? Bai Feng, actually gave roses to Emperor Ji. Damn. Is Bai Feng insane? I've always heard the president of the Fearless Alliance, Bai Feng, was flirtatious and passionate. It looks like it's true. But she even dared to provoke Emperor Ji. Isn't she too gutsy? I think she wants to die. How could Emperor Ji allow her to act so insolently? Even Big Dipper also thought they were dead for sure, let alone other people. Meanwhile, 7 Star was on high alert, prepared for any situation. Under everyone's gazes, Ji Xiuran stepped forward and slowly strolled to the trunk of roses. A faint smile was on his lips as he extended his slender fingers and pulled out a white rose from the trunk before lifting it to his nose to have a light sniff. A smile bloomed across the man's face. That smile caused Yuan Wan to blink, dazzled. The man in front of her was simply more stunning than a whole trunk of white roses. At the same time, a piercing pain radiated from her head. What's happening? Yuan Wan furrowed her brows. However, that peculiar feeling only lasted a moment and disappeared before she could capture it. With a white rose in hand, Ji Xiuran tenderly and indulgently looked at her. Thank you, President Bai. I really like them. The audience's eyes nearly fell out from shock. Damn. Emperor Ji isn't seeking retribution. What kind of huge-ass luck did this woman get? It's only because Emperor Ji has a good temper. If it was that one, she'd probably be dead without a burial place already. That one? Only if she really wants to die. Right now, the one they were speaking of was sitting in the black car across from them. Lin Kei felt like, this narrow space would be shortly shattered by a certain someone's pressure when that trunk of roses was revealed. Fuck. A trunk of explosives would be better. This was simply more terrifying than explosives. Originally, he thought Ninth Brother's emotions these last few days were too frightening, so he wanted to make a detour here to scout for information about that girl. He never would have expected to be accosted by this scene. This was the end of the world. On the other hand, Big Dipper and Seven Star both relaxed. Big Dipper nearly collapsed from fright. Thank goodness, thank goodness. Thank goodness Emperor Ji had a good temper. Thank goodness the recipient of their president's public flower giving wasn't Lord Azura. Skeleton, next to Emperor Ji, coughed lightly with an embarrassed expression. This mistress personality was seriously the same as before. She even dared to do something like give flowers to Emperor Ji in public. But Skeleton covertly peeked at his master. It looked like Emperor Ji was in a rather good mood. Chapter 1503. After making everyone's jaws drop, Yuanwan originally planned to leave after handing over the flowers, but she caught the nearby black car from the corner of her eye. She saw that car before inside Azura's manor. After some thought, Yuanwan changed what she was going to say. I'm glad you like them. Well, is Emperor Ji free tonight for a meal with me? First, she gave flowers. Now, she was openly asking for a date. Ji Xiuran glanced at the leaders who wanted to have a meal with him and said, apologies, everyone. I have a prior engagement tonight, so it'll have to be another time. Have a prior engagement. So Emperor Ji actually accepted Bro Flattop's invitation. Please. Yuanwan was immensely satisfied by this result and eagerly opened the door to the red Ferrari. Part of the reason she gave flowers to Emperor Ji was to maintain Bai Feng's personality to prevent Emperor Ji from growing suspicious. The other reason was, of course, to electrify a certain someone. Just like that, Ji Xiuran entered the car under everyone's watchful eyes. Then they watched as that arrogant Ferrari sent dust flying in their faces. Inside the black car, Lin Kei stiffly turned his head to look at the man in the back. Ninth brother, should we follow and see? Go back. The man closed his eyes again. Lin Kei grew more frightened upon seeing Si Yihan's face looking so placid. This was the calm before the storm. Inside a high-class Western restaurant in the Independent State, Big Dipper risked his life to disobey Sis Feng's orders and reserved a high-class business private room instead of a lover's private room. After Sis Feng entered with Emperor Ji, Big Dipper stayed with Seven Star outside the door and stood guard. Big Dipper made a praying motion with his hands clasped. Oh, merciful Buddha! Thank God Emperor Ji didn't get angry. Seven Star didn't say anything. He didn't find this outcome too strange. With Emperor Ji's shrewdness, there was no way he'd wear his emotions on his face. Since Emperor Ji didn't plan to attack the Fearless Alliance right now, he wouldn't blow up over such a trivial matter. I'm suddenly glad that it's Emperor Ji who Sis Feng likes. If she suicidally coveted Lord Azura, that'd be the true disaster, Big Dipper murmured with lingering fears. Just as he relaxed, he thought of something and became terrified, color draining out of his face. It's over, it's over. A single man and a single woman together in the same room by themselves. Sis Feng won't lose control and do something, right? Seven Star glanced at Big Dipper, a slight frown on his face. Probably not. Big Dipper was in a tizzy. What do you mean, probably not? She's someone who dared to forcefully kiss even Lord Azura. She's definitely capable of doing something like forcefully having her way with Emperor Ji, alright? At that moment, inside the private room, the atmosphere was rather harmonious actually. Yuanwan raised her champagne and saluted the man across from her. I couldn't control myself last time. You won't take offense, right? In truth, she didn't feel like there was anything Emperor Ji should take offense to. It wasn't until she visited the Ji residence that she learned Emperor Ji had a fiancé already, a fiancé the Ji family acknowledged too. He was probably just in a fake relationship with Baifeng. Emperor Ji smiled noncommittally. I'll help you think of a solution for the goo poison. Thanks. Don't worry, I'd rather die than submit. Yuanwan exclaimed righteously, as though she definitely didn't have any ulterior motives regarding Lord Azura. Chapter 1504. 1504. He was a man, after all, so he definitely would mind this kind of thing. Yuanwan hastily changed the topic. Yesterday, students from Scarlet Flames Academy and Stars and Sun Academy started fighting in the Fearless Alliance's territory. Oh? And then? Ji Shuran asked. We broke them apart. If anything happened while they were fighting on my territory, whose fault would it be? Oh right, I heard, the headmaster of Scarlet Flames Academy is a master of hypnotism. Yuanwan probed furtively. Emperor Ji's eyes glinted, and he put down the cup in his hand before looking at her. That's right, the old headmaster is an expert in this area. However, he's been extremely elusive these past years, and only rare SSS-level students of Scarlet Flames Academy can contact him. SSS-level students, Yuanwan sounded a bit disappointed. With her level, she might not even reach F level, let alone SSS level. Did that mean she wouldn't be able to see the old headmaster? Why are you suddenly interested in this? Ji Shuran asked. Oh, it's nothing. I was just bored and asked randomly. Yuanwan replied casually. After eating dinner, Yuanwan glanced at the time and thought it was late enough, so she paid the bill and decided to leave. As Big Dipper anxiously waited, the two of them finally finished eating and came out. As soon as they came out, Big Dipper immediately approached Yuanwan and quietly asked, Sis Feng, you didn't do anything, right? We were just eating. What could I have done? Yuanwan glanced at him in confusion. Big Dipper, he secretly peeked at Emperor Ji and confirmed that his clothes were still neat and his expression was normal before relaxing. At the restaurant's entrance, let me escort you back, Yuanwan suggested. Huh? Why did a man like Emperor Ji need a girl to escort him home? This is completely a typical trick to charm women, okay? Big Dipper wanted to stop Yuanwan, but Emperor Ji responded. Emperor Ji chuckled lightly. Sure. Big Dipper, is it my imagination? Why do I feel like Emperor Ji is overly indulgent when it comes to Sis Feng? Yuanwan drove Emperor Ji home in the flashy sports car. After Emperor Ji left, Big Dipper clapped his chest and relaxed ferociously. As he drove in the front, he said, Sis Feng, it's been a terrifying day for me. Thank goodness nothing bad happened. We can finally go home. In the back seat, Yuanwan tilted her head and lightly tapped her forehead with her fingers. She aloofly called, Big Dipper, what, Sis Feng? Big Dipper turned his head to glance at her. We're not going back yet. Huh? Not going back. Then where are we going? It's so late already, we're going to Azura's manor. Followed by a piercing screech, Big Dipper made a giant S on the road. Fuck. A hysterical roar was heard from Big Dipper. In the end, 7 Star had to grab the steering wheel to stabilize the car, but the two of them were still frightened beyond their minds. 7 Star also clearly didn't expect Yuanwan to want to go see Azura after driving Emperor Ji home. Sis Feng, are you for real? You harassed Emperor Ji in the morning and now want to go find Lord Azura at night? Do you want to fly into space? Big Dipper looked like he was on the brink of a breakdown. Yuanwan gave him side eye. Do as I say. Why are you wasting time? Big Dipper looked at her meaningfully. Sis Feng, is it 'cause you know you don't have much time left, so you've completely freed yourself? I've always been this free, thank you very much, Yi Wanwan replied. Fine, I can't refute this. Chapter 1505, but, Sis Feng, why are you going to Azura's so late at night? Big Dipper asked weakly. Yi Wanwan propped her chin up. Guess. Of course it was to harvest her fruits. Forget it, I don't want to know. Big Dipper was unwilling to drive, so Yi Wanwan ended up picking him up and throwing him in the back before racing to her destination. Sis Feng. Sis Feng, please reconsider. You can have any man you want. I'll go and look for you, I'll look for whatever kind you want. Please calm down, Sis Feng. Big Dipper latched onto Yi Wanwan's thighs with both arms. Performing a night attack on Azura's manor? It was simply suicidal. Sis Feng, this truly isn't appropriate. 7-Star also spoke up. Yi Wanwan glanced at them. Alright, I'll tell you the truth. The person I love is Lord Azura, so I only need Lord Azura to fall in love with me to cure the goo. I'm just trying to preserve my life. Big Dipper immediately said, don't joke around, Sis Feng. During the day, you sent flowers to Emperor Ji and asked him for a dinner date. Then, during the night, you claim the one you love is Lord Azura. So how many people do you love? Yi Wanwan's lips twitched. Why didn't anyone believe her when she spoke the honest truth for once? After finally shaking off Big Dipper and 7-Star for half a day, Yi Wanwan climbed the wall and entered the courtyard. She figured out the layout last time she was there, so she successfully found Lord Azura's bedroom. Yi Wanwan silently opened the bedroom window and jumped inside. There wasn't anything special about the room and it matched the rest of the manor's style. The furniture was also very simple, and there were a few German books laying on the nightstand. Why isn't there anyone here? Yi Wanwan murmured. It should be about time to get ready for bed. Plus, the lights inside the room were turned on. Yi Wanwan was in deep thought when the sound of a door opening came from the bathroom behind her. She reflexively looked back and saw a half-naked man with only a towel wrapped around the lower half of his body. When the man saw her, his pupils evidently contracted. His hair was a bit wet still, and beads of water were rolling down his naked chest. The sudden visual shock caused Yi Wanwan to freeze in her spot. She had rather good timing. She managed to run into a beauty leaving the bath. Ahem, esteemed Lord Azura, we meet again, Yi Wanwan greeted him with a dry chuckle, acting like she hadn't snuck into someone's house. Lord Azura was Lord Azura indeed. He was only dumbfounded for a second before his expression returned to normal. May I ask why President Bai is visiting me so late at night? The man asked. Yi Wanwan regretfully scanned his body. Unfortunately, Si Yihan didn't have any scars or birthmarks on his body, or else this would have been a good opportunity. Detecting her fixed gaze on his body, the man's eyes darkened. Yi Wanwan regained her senses and naturally sat down on a nearby chair and poured a cup of tea for herself. She propped her chin on her hand and said, "It's about curing the goo, of course. May I ask if my esteemed Lord Azura is done thinking about it?" The man's eyes were darker than the night sky outside the window, as though there was something extremely terrifying shackled inside them. A moment later, the man icily replied, "It appears President Bai's feelings for Emperor Ji are just that." Chapter 1506, It appears President Bai's feelings for Emperor Ji are just that. The man stared at Yi Wanwan with his unfathomable eyes. "What are you trying to say, esteemed Lord Azura?" Yi Wanwan asked cheerfully. "May I ask what President Bai wants by sneaking into my room in the middle of the night?" the man asked aloofly. Yi Wanwan smiled and slowly walked toward him. She leaned down next to his ears. "Ah, I love beauties more than power. Doesn't the esteemed Lord Azura know me at all?" There was but half an inch separating him and Yi Wanwan. Their bodies were nearly touching, allowing him to catch a whiff of her fragrance. The primitive ferocious beast shackled inside him wanted to burst free of its prison. Please respect yourself, President Bai. The man forcefully repressed the raging inferno blazing inside of him and looked at Yi Wanwan indifferently. He tried his best to pacify the primitive restlessness that arose from her enticing behavior. Respect myself. May I ask what kind of self-respect the esteemed Lord Azura is referring to? Yi Wanwan's eyes were curved into a crescent moon from her cheerfulness as they stared into each other's eyes. Yi Wanwan lifted her right hand, wanting to grab him. He furrowed his brows slightly and somehow avoided Yi Wanwan's hand with indiscernible movements. Yi Wanwan sashayed toward him with a bright grin on her face. The man remained silent and returned to the bathroom. He picked up the pajamas placed on the shelf in the bathroom and was about to get dressed when Yi Wanwan followed him inside like a shadow. Does President Bai want to watch me change? His gaze landed on Yi Wanwan. Sure. Yi Wanwan nodded with a smile. Before the man could say anything, she reached him and chuckled. How about? I help the esteemed Lord Azura get dressed. No need, the man answered coldly. Really? Yi Wanwan pressed close to him, the steam in the bathroom dampening their figures. Seeing Yi Wanwan reach for him, the man lifted his right arm. She grabbed his right hand, the smile on her face giving her an innocent but seductive aura. The man's hand instinctively pushed. Caught off guard, Yi Wanwan slipped on the wet floor and fell to the side. Lord Azura frowned and stretched his arm toward Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan reached out to grab him, but physics caused her to merely drag him into the bathtub, still filled with warm water, with her. Yi Wanwan's clothes were soaked in an instant, the wet fabric revealing bits and pieces of her skin. The man's towel also slipped down partially as he pressed down on her body. A sensual atmosphere rippled through the bathroom. Esteemed Lord Azura, what are you doing? Yi Wanwan looked at the man on top of her with amusement. She could feel the searing heat emanating from the man and the peculiar change in his body. The man couldn't suppress the desire in his eyes anymore, and it was as though the primitive, ferocious beast shackled inside him had ripped apart its cage, bursting out and wanting to devour the woman underneath him without leaving a bone behind. Before the man could do anything though, a loud bang was heard and the room's door was kicked open. A second later, the red-headed Jiang Yen darted into the bathroom. The loud commotion inside the bathroom caused Jiang Yen to think an assassin entered the room, so he kicked open the door. However, after entering the bathroom, he saw Lord Azura wearing nothing but a towel as he lay atop by foam. Chapter 1507, 1507 Jiang Yen thought he was seeing things for a moment. Lord Azura, and by foam. Sorry, Jiang Yen was stunned for a moment before quickly leaving. Due to Jiang Yan's appearance, the man's desire receded rapidly, and he regained his calm. He slowly pulled back from the woman and used the wet towel to cover his body before getting out. President Bai, you've already alerted the people outside. If you don't leave now, I'm afraid this matter will travel to Emperor Ji's ears in a few hours, the man said to her detachedly. Ha! Yi Wanwan got out of the bathtub and stared at him. Esteemed Lord Azura. What great concern you show for me. He looked at her without responding. There are clothes in the room. After saying that, the man turned and left the bathroom. When Yi Wanwan changed into men's clothing and left the bathroom, she discovered that the man was already gone and she was the only one there. He escaped. Yi Wanwan looked pensive. She didn't know where he went, but he probably wouldn't return tonight. After straightening out her appearance, she left the manor. There were plenty of opportunities in the future, she didn't think she wouldn't be able to shatter his shell with enough stimulation. After Yi Wanwan got back to the Fearless Alliance, Big Dipper stared at her, stunned. Damn! Sis Feng, why did you come back wearing men's clothes? Wait. I feel like I've seen this outfit somewhere else before. Big Dipper fell into contemplation while staring at her clothes. Seven Star glanced at Big Dipper and said, Lord Azura wore it last time. Huh? Big Dipper nearly jumped up and looked at Yi Wanwan incredulously. Damn! Fuck me. Shit. Sis Feng, you really forced Lord Azura to have a bang? Impressive. Sis Feng, the independent state is simply your harem. You can bang whoever you want. Big Dipper gave Yi Wanwan a thumbs up with shock in his voice. Yi Wanwan, Sis Feng must be very tired right now. Let's go and allow Sis Feng to rest well and replenish her strength, 7 Star suggested after some pondering. Big Dipper was startled. Shouldn't it be Lord Azura who's tired? What rubbish are you saying? Yi Wanwan shot each of them a look. We didn't do anything. We just met up and chatted. Big Dipper and 7 Star looked at the men's clothes she was wearing. Who'd freaking believe that? She didn't do anything. Then what happened to her clothes? Why did she come back wearing Lord Azura's clothes? Sis Feng. Your goo should be cured, right? 7 Star asked meaningfully. Didn't I just tell you? We just talked, so the goo isn't cured, Yi Wanwan answered. 7 Star nodded. Since Sis Feng said they didn't do anything, then they didn't do anything. See, I was telling you. How could Sis Feng have banged Lord Azura? Sis Feng, I'm not insulting you, but you should give up on titans like Lord Azura and Emperor Ji. You're just asking for ridicule, Big Dipper said with a smile. Anyway, even if Sis Feng forcefully banged Lord Azura, there was no way he'd like her, so she'd just die after banging him. Yi Wanwan had no desire to waste words on Big Dipper. After telling them to get lost, she started petting Great White and Virus. Yi Wanwan had a stroke of inspiration as she looked at Great White. Next time, she could bring Great White with her to test Lord Azura. The next morning, inside the president's office at the Fearless Alliance, Yi Wanwan's phone suddenly rang. Sister Famous, I'm at the usual place. Come over quickly, I'm taking you home. Nameless Nye's voice was emitted from the other end. Chapter 1508, Okay, I'll be there soon. After Yi Wanwan hung up, she had 7 Star prepare some presents as well as gifts for baby Tang Tang. When Yi Wanwan arrived at the agreed-upon meeting place, she entered Nameless Nye's car. Boss Famous, I just wanted you to get to know the family, but look at how many things you bought. You're too polite. A bright grin spread across Nameless Nye's face when he saw the number of bags in Yi Wanwan's hands. Nameless Nye immediately snatched a bag from her hands. That's for Tang Tang, Yi Wanwan said with a frown. Couldn't Nameless Nye behave more respectably? What about this? Nameless Nye pointed at another present. This is for Madame Nye, Yi Wanwan replied. Nameless Nye nodded before looking at Yi Wanwan with immense anticipation. What, about mine? Yi Wanwan, she sighed and took out $500 bills from her wallet and placed them in Nameless Nye's hands. Is this good? Good, good, good. Ah, Sister Famous, it's your wrongdoing this time. Why are you giving me things in spite of our friendship? You're treating me like a stranger. Aren't you slapping my face? Don't act like this next time, Nameless Nye said to Yi Wanwan as he put away the 5 bills in his pocket. Could you freaking be any more shameless? Nameless Nye didn't wait for Yi Wanwan to respond and stomped on the gas, turning the car in the direction of the Nye residence. Around noon, they finally arrived in the Nye district. The Nye residence was located in the center of the Nye district, and their estate could match the Ji residence in its luxuriousness. They probably also owned a gold mine. If Yi Wanwan didn't know any better, she absolutely wouldn't believe Nameless Nye was the eldest young master of the Nye family. Eldest young master, many Nye family experts respectfully greeted Nameless Nye after they entered the Nye estate. Nameless Nye didn't pay them any heed and led Yi Wanwan to the center of the Nye residence. Captain. Brick-moving foreigner, spray of flowers, and the others walked out of the Nye residence's back garden. Ha! Boss Famous, you're here, Taoist devotee chuckled when he saw Yi Wanwan, but he looked anxious. Iceberg Man was expressionless with a coffin on his back, but he kept secretly peering at Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan became aggravated as soon as she saw Taoist devotee and his group. If it weren't for them, she wouldn't be poisoned by the love goo. Sister famous, is your goo cured? Brick-moving foreigner asked after examining her for a few moments. Nameless Nya and the others all ferociously glared at brick-moving foreigner after he said that. Why did he freaking have to mention exactly what they wanted to avoid? A brainless idiot. Thanks to you guys, it's not cured yet, Yi Wanwan answered. That's bad. Brick-moving foreigner looked worried. You must find someone who also loves you back to cure love goo, boss famous. You have to act faster, or else you'll be bleeding everywhere and have ulcers all over your mouth. You won't even know how you died. Get lost, you idiot. Taoist devotee shoved brick-moving foreigner to the side. How would a decades-old single dog like you know anything about love goo? You don't even know about love, let alone love goo. With boss famous beauty, she's just like seventh fairy who fell to the mortal world. She can have as many cowherds one as she wants. The love goo is simply a type of romantic game. Don't you know anything? Yi Wanwan, cowherd your father. Chapter 1509. Right, look at our sister famous face. Her face is full of protein. She's seventh fairy herself. Nameless Nya agreed enthusiastically. Spray of flowers, Captain. That's not protein, it's collagen, iceberg man. Yi Wanwan felt both mentally and physically exhausted as she watched this group of idiots in front of her. Where's baby Tang Tang? She needed some healing. Boss famous, don't worry. Two-legged toads are hard to find, but two-legged men are a piece of cake. If Boss famous doesn't have the experience, let me teach you, Spray of Flowers said to Yi Wanwan with a smile. No thanks. Damn ladyboy, scram to the side. You're disgusting. Brick-moving foreigner glanced at Spray of Flowers. Are you freaking discriminating against this madam's gender? Spray of Flowers cursed while pointing at brick-moving foreigner. Yi Wanwan was uninterested in paying attention to Spray of Flowers and his cohort any longer, so she turned to Nameless Nya and asked, Where's Tang Tang? Don't be in such a hurry. Tang Tang isn't back yet. Let me show you around first. My house is giant, so follow me and don't get lost. Nameless Nya said while beaming. Your flaunting is too freaking obvious. Yi Wanwan was forced to trail behind Nameless Nya and stroll around the supposedly giant estate. Meanwhile, Spray of Flowers, Taoist devotee, and the others seemed to have started fighting. Nameless Nya, the captain, merely left behind the sentence, fight to the death. A moment later, Yi Wanwan followed Nameless Nya into a room near the living room. Mom, where are you? Nameless Nya shouted as he entered the house. Did you lose your soul? Shortly after, an elegant and poised woman walked out of the living room. This woman was the madam of the Nya family, Nameless Nya's mother. Madam Nya looked like she was only in her 30s and seriously didn't match her real age, showing how well she took care of herself. Madam Nya first glanced at Nameless Nya before turning to Yi Wanwan. This single look caused Madam Nya to shudder. For some reason, this familiar-looking girl caused an inexplicable closeness to blossom inside of her. This is... Madam Nya asked. Mom, she's Yi Wanwan. She's the one who looked after Tang Tang in China, Nameless Nya explained. Madam Nya was startled briefly. No wonder she found this girl familiar-looking just now, it turned out she had seen this girl before in a video call. However, when she saw Yi Wanwan in person, her previous dislike dissipated into smoke. For some reason, she liked this girl the more she looked at her. Hello, Auntie. It's my first time visiting, so here are some minor things from me. Yi Wanwan quickly went up and gave the present prepared by 7-Star to Madam Nya. You're very kind. Madam Nya nodded at Yi Wanwan with a smile. Mom, take a look to see what it is. Nameless Nya urged. Madam Nya's brows furrowed. Who opens presents in front of a guest? Before Madame Nia could say anything, nameless Nia snatched the present and opened it in front of them. When the sparkling jewels, jade, and gold objects in the box were revealed, Yi Wanwan herself was taken back, let alone nameless Nia. She came in a hurry, so she didn't look at the present's 7-star prepared beforehand. Chapter 15:10 Seriously, why did 7-star freaking give jewels, jade, and gold? Yi Wanwan's heart was bleeding. Nameless Nia silently closed the present, but his hands were glued to the box, unwilling to place it down. Wanwan, come and have a seat. Madame Nia pulled Yi Wanwan by her hand and led her inside the living room. Yi Wanwan was surprised by the affection Madame Nia was showing her. She originally thought she might get kicked out, so what was this? Could it be that she turned on cheating mode? After entering the living room, she looked up and saw that Madame Nia was assessing her with a pleased smile. Wanwan, your mother has a good daughter, Madame Nia complimented her with a light chuckle while examining her outstanding looks and temperament, all the while holding her hand. Thank you, Auntie, Yi Wanwan answered politely. About last time, Auntie might have had some misunderstanding, so don't take it to heart, Madame Nia said. Before Yi Wanwan could reply, Madame Nia said, Wanwan, weren't you in China? How did you get to the independent state? Mom, why are you asking her so many questions? It's not like she's your daughter. Aren't you too nosy? Nameless Nia asked with displeasure as he walked into the living room. Madame Nia glared at Nameless Nia. Don't be so rude. You aren't young anymore. I'm only 29. Nameless Nia protested in haste. Both Madame Nia and Yi Wanwan turned to look at Nameless Nia at the same time, exasperation clear in their eyes. What? Nameless Nia asked. Madame Nia glanced at him again but didn't say anything and turned to look at Yi Wanwan again. The more Madame Nia praised this girl, the more she liked her and the more she wanted to get close to her for some reason. Wanwan, Tang Tang probably wasn't easy to look after back in China, right? Madame Nia suddenly asked her. Yi Wanwan shook her head vehemently. No, no. Tang Tang was very obedient. Oh. Madame Nia was surprised. Tang Tang was obedient? What a rarity. Mom, I told you. Everything has its vanquisher, little devil acts more well-behaved than a dog in front of Wanwan. Nameless Nia interjected. Both Yi Wanwan and Madame Nia fiercely glared at Nameless Nia. If you don't know how to talk, don't speak. Madame Nia frowned while looking at him. Her son acted like he had a handicapped head. How did she birth someone like him? What did I do? Nameless Nia didn't understand. Look at your sisters, Worryless and Linglong, and then look at yourself. You can't be a good elder brother or a good uncle. You're so old already, but you don't even have a girlfriend yet. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? Madame Nia admonished coldly. Nameless Nia's lips twitched. He looked like he wanted to say something but ended up swallowing his words. Mom. A woman wearing luxurious clothes entered the living room. Worryless, you're here. Madame Nia smiled faintly and had the woman sit down next to her. Yi Wanwan imperceptibly examined the woman next to Madame Nia. This woman was the second miss of the Nia family, Nameless Nia's younger sister and also Tang Tang's biological mother. Several days ago, in his home, Ishuehan told her that Tang Tang was his little disciple and requested her to help him investigate whether this worryless Nia was truly Tang Tang's mother. Chapter 15:11 However, Yi Wanwan was troubled. How should she investigate this? The woman glanced at Yi Wanwan before asking Madame Nia, Mom, this is Worryless, she's Yi Wanwan, your brother's good friend. She's the one your brother troubled to look after Tang Tang back in China, Madame Nia replied. The woman was startled by Madame Nia's answer and carefully examined Yi Wanwan, a tinge of nearly indiscernible hatred surfacing in her eyes. Heh. So it's Miss Wanwan, the woman concealed her hatred and smiled at Yi Wanwan. Isn't Miss Wanwan Chinese? How did you come to the independent state? What does it have to do with you? Is it any of your business? Nameless Nia glanced at the woman. Brother, Miss Wan Wan is your friend, and I'm your sister, so isn't it normal for me to show some curiosity when a friend visits the Nia residence? The woman had a deep frown. Before Nameless Nia could respond, the woman turned to Madame Nia with an aggrieved expression. Mom. Does brother hold some bias against me? Madame Nia glared fiercely at Nameless Nia. Then the woman turned to Yi Wan Wan and said, Miss Wan Wan. You're my brother's friend, so you're naturally a friend of the Nia family as well. Thank you for taking care of Tang Tang back in China, Miss Wan Wan. That child is difficult to get along with and take care of. As Tang Tang's mother, I didn't fulfill my duty. I'm truly apologetic that I had to trouble Miss Wan Wan. Yi Wan Wan calmly replied, It's nothing. Tang Tang and I got along rather well. Yes, the woman nodded. After Tang Tang came home, he missed Miss Wan Wan a lot. However, I'm Tang Tang's mother, and blood is thicker than water. Tang Tang now understands this principle and knows what genuine blood relations are. Outsiders are outsiders, after all, and can't compare to his own mother. Now, Tang Tang and I get along very well. Yi Wan Wan's brows furrowed minutely when she heard this woman's words. Worryless Nia's words were a bit vague, but Yi Wan Wan could understand her meaning. Heh. If Miss Wan Wan likes children, she can have a few of her own. No matter how dearly you love other people's children, it's pointless, isn't it? Worryless said meaningfully. Yi Wan Wan didn't respond. If this woman really was Tang Tang's biological mother, Yi Wan Wan absolutely wouldn't disturb her and Tang Tang. However, Ishui Han said last time that he suspected this woman's identity. It was possible she wasn't Tang Tang's mother and was a fake. Yi Wan Wan also had her doubts though. How could a mother not recognize her own daughter? Couldn't Madame Nia tell if this worryless Nia was fake or not? She wouldn't be surprised if it was Nameless Nia who couldn't recognize his own sister though. On the other hand, Yi Wan Wan had an inexplicable sense of trust in Ishui Han. This was related to Tang Tang's life, and she went through fire and water with Nameless Nia, so she had to investigate this matter thoroughly. Of course, it would be a happy ending for everyone if she could prove this woman was worryless Nia herself. Miss Nia is right, however. I promised Tang Tang I'd come to the independent state to visit him before, Yi Wan Wan said. Nameless Nia didn't allow the woman to reply before saying, What? Do you have an objection to me bringing my friend home for a visit? The woman glanced at Nameless Nia. Visiting is fine, but you have to assess the circumstances and timing, eldest brother. If it was someone else, I would naturally welcome them enthusiastically, but Miss Wan Wan has a unique relationship with Tang Tang. Moreover, Tang Tang doesn't want to see Miss Wan Wan. Chapter 15:12 Madame Nia glanced at the woman and gently said, Worryless, Miss Wan Wan is a guest and also your brother's friend. Mom. I'm not targeting Miss Wan Wan, but the situation is unusual anyway. I don't think Tang Tang wants to see her either, the woman said to Madame Nia. Enough, Worryless, don't be so inconsiderate. Madame Nia's brows were furrowed as she looked at Worryless Nia. Since Madame Nia said that, the woman had no choice but to nod and quietly say, Mom, I didn't mean anything by it. Undisguised loathing surfaced in the woman's eyes. She remembered that Madame Nia disliked this woman a lot in the video call last time, so why did her attitude change today? Also, wasn't this woman from China? Why did she suddenly run to the independent state and show up at the Nia residence? Wan Wan, Worryless isn't purposefully targeting you, so don't take it to heart, Madame Nia comforted Yi Wan Wan with a smile. Yi Wan Wan nodded with a smile of her own. Auntie, no worries. I understand. Nameless Nia stood on the side and couldn't help but shake his head. Look at the gigantic difference between Worryless Nia and Boss Famous. Before Madame Nia could continue, Nia Linglong entered the living room with a young man and young woman behind her. Greetings, Madame Nia. The two youths greeted at the same time while looking at Madame Nia. Madame Nia nodded and turned to Nia Linglong. Linglong, these two are. Mom, they're students from Scarlet Flames Academy, so they're technically my junior brother and sister. They were passing by Nia district today and came to visit, Nia Linglong replied with a smile. Madam Nia nodded. Both worryless Nia and Nia Linglong were legendary students at Scarlet Flames Academy back then, so it was normal for students to visit. You must be senior sister worryless Nia, the young woman standing behind Nia Linglong said with a smile as she looked at worryless Nia. Worryless Nia nodded and replied, I am. Senior sister Worryless is our Scarlet Flames Academy's legend. You once created many records at the academy. It's truly an immense honor to be able to meet senior sister Worryless today. Worryless Nia immediately shook her head. It's nothing. All the records I created were broken by Linglong, so if we have to name Scarlet Flames Academy's legend, it's Linglong who deserves the title. I still have much to learn compared to Linglong. The Scarlet Flames students naturally knew about Nia Linglong breaking Worryless Nia's records. Just as Worryless Nia said, there was indeed a great difference between her and Nia Linglong. Wow, I never knew. When did you become so low profile and humble? Nameless Nia glanced at Worryless Nia. Although Nameless Nia could count the number of times Worryless Nia returned to the Nia residence with one hand, he had never forgotten her personality. She would insult the sky, insult the earth, and insult the air. She only allowed herself to be stronger than other people, and other people couldn't be stronger than her. Back then, when Worryless Nia returned to the Nia residence and ran into Nameless Nia, she insisted on comparing notes with him. A mere 3 moves and Worryless Nia was defeated by Nameless Nia. However, Worryless Nia wouldn't accept the outcome and kept challenging him but never lasted more than 3 moves. In the end, while Nameless Nia was sleeping, Worryless Nia snuck into his bedroom and tied him up with a rope. She threatened him by saying she wouldn't release him unless he admitted defeat. Chapter 15:13 Nameless Nia had no choice but to surrender and admit defeat to regain his freedom. Now, someone with Worryless Nia's personality would actually admit she was weaker than Nia Linglong? What a serious change in personality. Worryless Nia glanced at Nameless Nia before indifferently saying, Eldest brother, we're a family after all. Younger sister Linglong is stronger than me, so she's stronger than me. Why must I try to compete with her? Anyway, it's the truth that she's stronger than me, and I still have much to learn before I can compare to her. Even if I don't admit it, it's still the truth. Nameless Nia was too lazy to respond to her. It had nothing to do with him regarding which of the two was stronger. Nia Linglong had a bright smile on her face until she suddenly saw Yuan Wan from the corners of her eyes. She started. Why was this woman at the Nia residence? Why are you here? Nia Linglong asked with a frown while staring at Yuan Wan. Ha, younger sister, Miss Wan Wan misses Tang Tang, so she specifically came to the independent state from China in order to see Tang Tang, Worryless Nia answered with a snort. Nia Linglong was startled. She saw this woman at the Ji residence last time, but wasn't her name Bai Feng? And didn't she have a good relationship with Ji Shuran? Why was her name Wan Wan now? Nia Linglong suddenly realized something, and emotions raged through her eyes. Wan Wan. China. Once took care of Tang Tang. Nia Linglong stared at Yuan Wan, her fists clenched and a cold glint flickering through her eyes. If that was true, then this woman in front of her was most likely the true Worryless Nia. Back then, Nia Linglong learned from Spray of Flowers that Feng Shuani once told them this woman was the true Worryless Nia. After that, Nia Linglong hired quite a few mercenaries from the independent state to eliminate her. Unfortunately, they didn't succeed. Who would have expected this damn woman would actually come to the independent state? No wonder. No wonder Ji Shuran treated this stupid woman like that. Ji Shuran probably knew her true identity. Otherwise, why would he be so intimate with her? Even if Ji Shuran didn't know, he had to have been attracted by her inherent nature. However, the only fortunate thing was that Worryless Nia seemed to have lost her memories. This was more than enough for Nia Linglong. her identity would be forever replaced by someone else. Ha, so it's Miss Wan Wan. We meet again, Nia Linglong greeted Yi Wan Wan with a light chuckle. Yi Wan Wan nodded calmly. She could feel her head swimming, she had completely forgotten about Nia Linglong. Several days ago, she went to the Ji residence with Bai Feng's identity and coincidentally ran into Nia Linglong. Now, she came to the Nia residence with Yi Wan Wan's identity and ran into Nia Linglong again. If Nia Linglong exposed her identity like this, the fearless alliance would probably, she had to start making plans now. Oh right, if Miss Wan Wan likes children so much, why don't you have one yourself? Why are you so fixated on my sister's child? Isn't that a little improper, Miss Wan Wan? Nia Linglong asked Yi Wan Wan with a smile on her lips. The two young mercenaries next to Nia Linglong also examined Yi Wan Wan when they heard that. Before Yi Wan Wan could reply, a young man entered the house. The man swiftly walked toward Nia Linglong and quietly spoke next to her ear. Yi Wan Wan was startled when she saw this young man, surprise surfacing in her eyes. Chapter 15:14. This man looked very familiar, as though she'd seen him before. Yi Wan Wan abruptly recalled how she was assassinated for no reason back in China. And this man was amongst the group that hunted her. Turbulent emotions stormed through her mind. This man looked like he was under Nia Linglong. Could it be that the mastermind behind my assassination was Nia Linglong? However, I wasn't connected with Nia Linglong in any way back then and didn't know her, so why did she want to assassinate me? What was her objective? Many details surfaced in Yi Wan Wan's mind in an instant. When nameless Nia went to China back then, he said he wanted to find his younger sister, worryless Nia. He even once said I resembled his sister. Later, Tang Tang came to China to search for his mother, and we met. After, worryless Nia was found in the independent state. Nameless Nia suspected this worryless was a fake. Even piece of shit, Shui Han, asked me to help him investigate. Coincidentally, before I left China, Nia Linglong sent people to assassinate me. Could it be? Shock and disbelief enveloped Yi Wan Wan. Hypothetically speaking, what if she was worryless Nia? Yi Wan Wan felt like something was off about it still. If she really was worryless Nia, then Nia Linglong was her younger sister. So why did her sister want to kill her? Moreover, nameless Nia would be her brother and Madame Nia would be her mother. Could it be that her real brother and mother couldn't recognize her at all? Wasn't this too unbelievable? No matter what, Nia Linglong and the man who tried to kill her had an undeniable connection. Yi Wan Wan glanced at Nia Linglong and smiled indifferently. You have a good relationship with your elder sister indeed. Brother Nameless told me that you were adopted by worryless Nia when you were young. If it weren't for worryless Nia, you would have died on the outside already. There's no way you would have become a daughter of the Nia family and sat in a bed of luxury and honor, nor would you have been able to go to some Scarlet Flames Academy and become a legendary student. When Nia Linglong heard Yi Wan Wan's words, her face darkened immediately, especially when Yi Wan Wan said, adopted, but she quickly concealed it. Yes. It appears you do have a good relationship with my eldest brother. He even told you about this. That's right, I was adopted by elder sister. If it weren't for elder sister, I would be dead already. Nia Linglong smiled. I'm very grateful toward eldest sister worryless. Then as her younger sister, why did you purposefully break worryless Nia's records at Scarlet Flames Academy? Yi Wan Wan intentionally asked with a curious expression. Nia Linglong narrowed her eyes, surveying Yi Wan Wan. Before Nia Linglong could reply, the female mercenary student behind Nia Linglong snorted and looked at Yi Wan Wan. What does that have to do with you? How could an insolent nobody like you comment about our Scarlet Flames Academy's business? The male student also coldly butted in. You should get your roll straight in your head before visiting someone's house. Fuck you. Nameless Nia swung his hand and ruthlessly slapped the top of the male student's head. A second later, the male student flew several meters back and landed harshly on the floor with a bang. Chapter 15:15 Nameless Nye's sudden outburst caught everyone off guard, even Yuan Wan froze in her spot. Who do you two little bastards think you are? Is my sworn brother someone you can ridicule? Nameless Nye shouted indignantly while pointing at the two mercenary students. Nameless Nye stared at them. I'll give you 3 seconds. When I count to 1, I'll beat you to death if you're still in front of me. Eldest brother, what are you doing? Nye Linglong walked forward and looked at Nameless Nye. What bullshit junior brothers and junior sisters do you have? How dare they speak to my friend like this? Nameless Nye said. Eldest brother, they just have straightforward personalities and speak the truth without thinking. How could you have attacked them? Nye Linglong questioned. Eldest brother, you truly went too far. Worryless Nye also added in agreement by the side. If word of this gets out, what would happen to the Nye family's reputation? What? You both want to revolt? Nameless Nye glanced at Worryless Nye and Nye Linglong. I'm the oldest brother in this family. Whatever I say goes. If you don't respect the friends I bring back, that's slapping my face. Don't blame me for skinning you too. Nameless Nye coldly declared. Yuan Wan dazedly stared at Nameless Nye. His sense of protection is freaking brimming to the max. Why didn't I find out about this before? Should I treat him better in the future? Nameless Nye, you're acting rudely. Madam Nye suddenly reproached. Mom, my friend was just randomly chatting about domestic trivia, how is that? Nameless Nye asked her. I'm calling you insolent, not Wan Wan. Madam Nye frowned. Humph. I've been insolent since I was born. Nameless Nye snorted, but he didn't say anything else. We'll leave now, the two mercenary students said to Nye Linglong and Madam Nye. Before leaving, they fiercely glared at Yuan Wan and studied her face before leaving the Nye residence without looking back. Miss Wan Wan, we have business at home today, so please head back now. We won't be seeing you out, Worryless Nye said coldly while staring at Yuan Wan. Before Yuan Wan could reply, Madam Nye countered. Since you're here already, you should stay for lunch. Tang Tang should be back soon. Mom, Nye Linglong looked at Madam Nye with incomprehension. This is your brother's friend. Don't be so rude. Madam Nye's brows were closely furrowed together. Even Madam Nye herself didn't understand why her affections for Yuan Wan grew the more she looked at her or why she wanted Yuan Wan to stay longer. Thank you, Auntie, Yuan Wan smiled sweetly at Madam Nye. A smile automatically spread across Madam Nye's face when she saw Yuan Wan's beam. Oh right. Wan Wan, Nameless said you're sworn brothers with him just now. Madam Nye asked all of a sudden. Yuan Wan was startled. When did she become sworn brothers with Nameless Nye? It was all made up by Nameless Nye. However, since Madam Nye asked, Yuan Wan couldn't make Nameless Nye lose face, so she nodded and replied, yes. Brother Nameless and I are sworn brothers, ah. Madam Nye contemplated for a moment before suggesting, since it's like that, how about I adopt you as my foster daughter, Wan Wan? Disbelief filled the faces of Nye Linglong and Worryless Nye when they heard that. The madam of the Nye family wanted to adopt this woman as a foster daughter? What kind of joke was this? Yuan Wan herself was also astonished. They just met, but Madam Nye wanted to take her in as a foster daughter. Chapter 15:16 Yuan Wan was stuck in a daze. Madam Nye's decision to adopt her as a foster daughter came too suddenly. She was completely caught off guard. Before Yuan Wan could say anything, Worryless Nye frowned at Madam Nye. Mom. You're the madam of the Nye family. It's no small matter for you to adopt a foster daughter. Moreover, this is your first time meeting Miss Wan Wan, you don't know her well enough. How could you adopt her so easily? Mom, Sister Worryless is right. We should wait until Dad is back and discuss this matter before deciding, Nye Linglong hastily interjected as well. What nonsense are you two saying? Nameless Nya glanced at his two sisters before turning to his mother and grinning. Mom. I think Wan Wan is rather nice. With our relationship, it'd be no problem at all for you to adopt her as your foster daughter. But Dad isn't back yet. Isn't this too impulsive? Nya Linglong looked at worryless Nya as she spoke. Nameless Nya pursed his lips. Dad hasn't come back for a long time. There's an 80% chance he's been seduced by some vixen on the outside. Insolence. A mouthful of nonsense. Madame Nya fiercely glared at Nameless Nya. Yi Wan Wan, talking about his father like this. Is Nameless Nya dim-witted? Madame Nya turned to Yi Wan Wan and smiled. Wan Wan, what do you think? Auntie, Yi Wan Wan was about to speak when she was interrupted by Madame Nya. It is a bit sudden, so how about you consider it for a few days first, Wan Wan? All right. Yi Wan Wan nodded. As Nya Linglong was about to say something, the Nya family's steward entered the living room and respectfully said to Madame Nya, Madam. The Shin family's eldest young master is visiting. The Shin family's eldest young master. Madame Nya looked pensive. As one of the 4 great clans of the independent state, the Shin family was loaded with money. There wasn't a single group in the independent state that could compare to them. The independent state revered martial arts, so all the patrician families and factions were immersed in martial arts. However, the Shin family was an exception. They only prioritized business. The entire independent state, from restaurants to real estate and construction, was almost completely monopolized by the Shin family. And the eldest young master of the Shin family was the heir. God of wealth is here. Nameless Nya became elated. Hurry, hurry and invite him inside. The steward nodded and quickly left. A moment later, a young man wearing cyan form-fitting clothes sauntered into the Nya residence's living room. Ha ha ha, old pal Shin, long time no see. Nameless Nya hastily walked forward to greet eldest young master Shin as soon as he entered. Brother Nya, here, a greeting gift. Eldest young master Shin took out a bar of gold and handed it to Nameless Nya. Old pal Shin. Nameless Nya looked displeased. What are you doing? What are we? We're sworn brothers. Why are you giving me a gold bar for nothing? Aren't you slapping my face? Don't do this next time. As Nameless Nya finished speaking, he hastily put away the gold bar. Brother Nya, I understand. I'll give you a gold brick next time. Eldest young master Shin quickly replied. Yi Wan Wan, where did this oddball come from? Come, you've worked hard, steward. Eldest young master Shin took out a gold bar and handed it to the elderly steward. Thank you, eldest young master Shin. The elderly man nodded at the young man in thanks. The elderly steward was already used to eldest young master Shin giving him gold bars or cash every time he visited. Chapter 1517, Come, worryless, Linglong. Long time no see, take your greeting gifts. Eldest young master Shin walked to them. Thanks, but we're fine, Nya Linglong said. Pretentious. Eldest young master Shin glanced at them before strolling toward Madame Nya. Auntie Nya, here's your greeting gift. Madame Nya was a bit embarrassed as she looked at the gold bar he handed to her but accepted it in the end. Here, a greeting gift. Take it. Eldest young master Shin walked to Yi Wan Wan and lavishly pulled out a gold bar for her. Yi Wan Wan, where did this foolish son of the landlord come from? I don't know him at all, but he's going to give me a gold bar without even asking. Thank you. Yi Wan Wan smiled at eldest young master Shen and accepted the gold bar unabashedly. Only a fool would decline it. Oh right, who's this beauty? I've never seen her before. Eldest young master appraised Yi Wan Wan up and down. Why did you give me a gold bar if you've never freaking seen me before? Old pal Shen, she's my sworn brother. Nameless Nya replied instantly. Eldest young master Shen nodded and turned to Yi Wan Wan. Beautiful miss, do you have a boyfriend? Are you married? Old pal Shen, why did you come here today? Nameless Nya asked curiously before Yi Wanwan could reply. Ah, good question. Eldest young master Shen beamed. I came to invite you to my breakup banquet. You all have to come. Eldest young master Shen quickly took out invitation cards and handed them to Nameless Nya and the others. Old pal Shen, don't worry. Whoever doesn't go will be a grandson. Nameless Nya was brimming with excitement. Soon, eldest young master Shen distributed the invitations to Nya Linglong and worryless Nya as well. Beautiful miss, you should come too. Eldest young master Shen walked to Yi Wanwan. He took out another invitation and handed it to her. Breakup banquet. What the heck is that? Yi Wanwan planned to reject the invitation when Nameless Nya leaned into Yi Wanwan's ear and quietly told her, Sister Famous. This is a moneybags banquet. If you go, they'll give gold bricks and such, I'll definitely come. Yi Wanwan accepted the invitation politely. Alright, we have a deal then. Eldest young master Shen nodded and turned to Madame Nya with a smile. Auntie Nya, I'll take my leave now. After receiving a response from Madame Nya, he turned and left. As Yi Wanwan watched the landlord's foolish son leave, she couldn't help but marvel inwardly. Ah, he's a serious spendthrift. Regardless of how rich the Shen family was, could they endure their eldest young master's squandering? He would give out gold bars as greeting gifts and gold bricks for attending his banquet. Wasn't the richest family in the independent state, the Shen family, too extravagant? I've gotten 2 gold bricks this year already. Nameless Nya quietly exclaimed to Yi Wanwan. I've attended his breakup banquet twice this year, this is the 3rd time. Yi Wanwan, before Yi Wanwan could respond, an immensely familiar voice was heard outside the living room. Soon, Tang Tang, wearing a little black suit with a bow tie, slowly entered the living room with an aloof expression. Grandma, I'm back, Tang Tang greeted as he looked at Madame Nya sitting in the chief seat. Little thing, where did you run off to play? Nameless Nya asked the boy. Tang Tang expressionlessly glanced at Nameless Nya. Uncle, please be mindful of your wording. Chapter 15:18 Tang Tang, Yi Wanwan called out softly while looking at the nearby Tang Tang. Tang Tang's expression became obviously startled when he heard Yi Wanwan's voice and reflexively turned to look at her. Disbelief emerged in Tang Tang's detached gaze, which was quickly replaced by excitement and joy. Mommy. Tang Tang immediately walked toward Yi Wanwan and carefully examined her, afraid he was imagining things. Worryless Nya's expression darkened when she heard how Tang Tang addressed her, and a cold glint flickered through Nya Linglong's eyes. Blood was truly thicker than water. The real worryless Nya had clearly lost her memories, and Tang Tang also didn't know she was his mother, but he still acted so familiarly with her, and so aloof toward the fake worryless Nya who was pretending to be his mother. Tang Tang, what are you saying? Who are you calling mommy? Worryless Nya stared at Tang Tang with a deep frown. Tang Tang glanced at worryless Nya, but quickly looked away with no desire to pay attention to her. All his attention was focused on Yi Wanwan. Mommy, how come you're here in the independent state? Weren't you in China, mommy? Tang Tang couldn't understand why Yi Wanwan was standing right in front of him. China was too remote from the independent state. Normal people weren't familiar with the independent state, and many people had never even heard of it. Moreover, people who wanted to enter the independent state needed a special permit. I've been here a while. I've wanted to visit Tang Tang for a long time, but it hasn't been convenient, Yi Wanwan replied with a smile. Tang Tang shook his head and said, Mommy, you can treat the Nya residence like your own home and visit me at any time. He turned to Nameless Nya and asked, What do you say, uncle? Oh. I shouldn't talk. I'm afraid my wording will be problematic, Nameless Nya answered. Tang Tang became expressionless. Are you sure, uncle? If Grandma learns, ha ha ha. Nameless Nya laughed before Tang Tang could finish speaking. Little darling, look at what you're saying. Wan Wan looked after you for so long in China, so of course she should treat the Nia residence like her own home now that she's in the independent state. Is this even a question? You're too inconsiderate, child. Yi Wan Wan, Tang Tang, don't be so inconsiderate. She's not your mom. You can't call people your mom carelessly, Nia Linglong said to Tang Tang. I don't mind having another mommy, Tang Tang said. You don't mind, but your mom minds, Nia Linglong retorted. Linglong, enough. This is all my fault. It's my fault that I was forced to leave home due to an accident and abandon Tang Tang. Worryless Nia looked woeful like she had suffered some immense grievance. Sister Worryless, don't say that. You had your reasons. Anyway, aren't you back now? Nia Linglong comforted her. Nia Linglong turned to Tang Tang. Look. Look at how sad you made your mom, Tang Tang. Before Nia Linglong could say anything more, Madame Nia interrupted with a slight frown. Alright, that's enough. Mom. Nia Linglong turned to Madame Nia. It's human nature that he developed affection after Wan Wan looked after Tang Tang for so long in China. What? Do you want Tang Tang to be cold-blooded instead? Madame Nia asked worryless Nia and Nia Linglong. Chapter 15-19 Nia Linglong and, worryless Nia, secretly looked at each other. It appeared Madame Nia was a bit biased now. However, that was fine. There was no way this woman could stay in the Nia residence forever, and they had millions of ways to make Madame Nia and Tang Tang dislike this woman. Soon, Madame Nia told everyone to start eating, and lunch commenced. At the table, Tang Tang kept introducing the Nia family's characteristic dishes to Yi Wan Wan. He didn't eat much himself but picked up nearly all the delicious dishes and placed them into Yi Wan Wan's bowl. Worryless Nia and Nia Linglong's face were so dark that ink could start dripping at any second, but they couldn't comment on it too much right now. After lunch, Tang Tang stuck to Yi Wan Wan's side and grasped her hand, unwilling to let her go for a single second in fear of Yi Wan Wan escaping. Mommy, you should stay here, Tang Tang suggested while looking up at her. Nia Linglong didn't allow Yi Wan Wan to respond before interjecting, Tang Tang, don't cause trouble. Your auntie has her own business to attend to. Yi Wan Wan smiled softly and said, I don't have much to do these next few days. If Auntie Nia doesn't object, I can stay here to keep Tang Tang company. Tang Tang immediately turned around and looked at Madame Nia pitifully. Grandma, of course you can, Madame Nia replied with a smile. There aren't any spare rooms in the house, Nia Linglong said with a furrow of her brows. That's fine. Mommy can sleep with me. Both my room and bed are big, Tang Tang retorted coldly. Tang Tang looked at Yi Wan Wan. How about you sleep with me, Mommy? Sure. Yi Wan Wan nodded. It was only after Yi Wan Wan agreed that a smile spread across Tang Tang's face. Wan Wan, don't you have something to do this afternoon? Let's go, I'll drive you. Nameless Nia wiped the grease from his mouth and stood up. Yi Wan Wan was startled. I have something to do. Nameless Nia walked to Yi Wan Wan and quietly said, have you forgotten about the Fearless Alliance? Yi Wan Wan finally remembered that her current identity was the president of the Fearless Alliance. Even if she wanted to stay at the Nia residence, she should at least finish dealing with the matters at hand first. Mommy, when will you be back? Tang Tang asked with a face full of longing. Why are you so broken-hearted? Can't you just come with us? Nameless Nia looked at Tang Tang. Tang Tang's eyes brightened, and he hastily stood up, clutching Yi Wan Wan's hand. Nonsense. Worryless Nia suddenly stood up. Eldest brother, how could you allow Tang Tang to go out with a strange woman? Before Nameless Nia could answer, Tang Tang turned around and coldly glanced at Worryless Nia. Please mind your words. She's my mommy from China, not a strange woman. Tang Tang, mommy's just worried about you, protested Worryless Nia. Then your worries are rather unnecessary, Tang Tang replied. Enough. Tang Tang is going to be with me. What are you afraid of? Nameless Nya was very displeased. Tang Tang, you have to stay with Wan Wan and your uncle and can't run off. Do you understand? Madame Nya said after a moment. Yes, Tang Tang nodded vehemently. I understand, Grandma. Since Madame Nya voiced her decision, Nya Linglong and worryless Nya stopped objecting. Soon, Nameless Nya led Yi Wan Wan and Tang Tang out of the Nya residence. After walking through the main entrance, Nameless Nya turned to Yi Wan Wan and said, Boss Famous. My acting is good, right? I still have something to do, so you should take Tang Tang with you and have fun. Also, I don't have any money on me, can you, Yi Wan Wan? Chapter 1520. 1520 Yi Wan Wan glanced at Nameless Nya. She remembered that the filthy rich money bags of the Shen family gave him a bar of gold. Don't you have a gold bar? Yi Wan Wan asked. Nameless Nya giggled. Sister Famous, what are you saying? A gold bar is a gold bar, and money is money. They're clearly two entirely different things. Ah, Yi Wan Wan nodded and said, then give your gold bar to me, and I'll give you money. Sister Famous, Nameless Nya looked at her, wanting to say something but held back. A while later, Nameless Nya's gaze landed on Tang Tang, and he said with a giant grin, my little darling, my dear nephew. No, Tang Tang answered indifferently. Tang Tang, I'm your uncle. Nameless Nya exclaimed with a frown. No, Tang Tang repeated. Yi Wan Wan looked at Nameless Nya in exasperation. Didn't this fool swear a blood oath that his whole family would die if he used even a cent from the Nya family again? However, technically speaking, Tang Tang's surname wasn't Nya. Unfortunately, they didn't know who Tang Tang's father was. In the end, Yi Wan Wan had no choice but to take out a few $100 bills and hand them to Nameless Nya. Sister Famous, I knew it. With our relationship, there's no way you wouldn't give me some if I asked, Nameless Nya said with a satisfied smile as he accepted the money. Then he drove away without looking back. Mommy, where are we going? Tang Tang asked her quietly. Mommy still has some business to deal with. You just need to follow Mommy, but... Tang Tang can't speak carelessly, Yi Wan Wan replied. What do you mean, Mommy? Tang Tang looked confused, no idea what Yi Wan Wan meant by speaking carelessly. Yi Wan Wan pondered for a moment before inquiring, does Tang Tang know the Fearless Alliance? Tang Tang nodded lightly. I know them. They aren't anything good. Yi Wan Wan, Tang Tang, Mommy is currently the president of the Fearless Alliance, Yi Wan Wan explained helplessly. Mommy is. Bro Flat Top. Tang Tang looked surprised. Yes. Mommy is gonna bring Tang Tang to the Fearless Alliance, but Tang Tang can't mention Mommy's past in China, alright? Yi Wan Wan asked with a smile. Okay. Tang Tang nodded docilely without a trace of his previous little devil personality. Yi Wan Wan called a taxi and entered with Tang Tang before directing the driver to head to the Fearless Alliance's headquarters. In the afternoon, Yi Wan Wan led Tang Tang into the headquarters of the Fearless Alliance. Greetings, President. Many Fearless Alliance members immediately walked forward to receive Yi Wan Wan when they saw her and reverently greeted her. Yi Wan Wan nodded in response and quickly walked into the elevator with Tang Tang in tow. Who's the child with President Fearless? A Fearless Alliance member asked with a face full of curiosity. Could it be, he's our president's illegitimate son? Look, he shares some similarities with our president. Don't run your mouth off. You'll be dead if the president heard you. Right. Even if he's the president's illegitimate son, we can't speak carelessly. As soon as Yi Wan Wan entered the office, Virus and Great White stood up and walked toward her. Yi Wan Wan started when she saw them. She'd nearly forgotten the ancestor, Virus, was inside the office. Yi Wan Wan wasn't worried about Great White since Tang Tang had a good relationship with Great White, but Virus. Chapter 1521 However, when Yuan looked at Tang Tang, he didn't exhibit any fear. He even looked joyfully surprised at the sight of Great White. Great White. Tang Tang extended his arms toward Great White. Great White slowly sauntered to Tang Tang's side and sat down. Upon seeing this, Virus also walked to Tang Tang's side and sniffed him. Before Yuan could say something, the office's doors were pushed open and Big Dipper and 7 Star entered. "Sis Feng, you're back!" Big Dipper exclaimed as he entered the office and quickly caught sight of Tang Tang standing next to Yuan. "Damn! Sis Feng, who's this child?" Big Dipper was startled. "Mommy, he's very noisy," Tang Tang said to Yuan. When Tang Tang said, "Mommy," even 7 Star was astonished, let alone Big Dipper. Mommy?" Big Dipper froze on the spot. Did he discover some kind of gigantic shocking secret? There's Sis Feng. Bro Flattop, the president of the Fearless Alliance, actually freaking had a son that was this old? 7 Star, did you hear that? That child called Sis Feng Mommy just now. Wait, did I imagine it? Could it be that I miss my mom too much since I haven't seen her for a few days? Big Dipper turned to 7 Star. 7 Star glanced at him. You probably aren't that filial. Big Dipper, you didn't imagine it, 7 Star added. Damn, Sis Feng. You actually have a son this old? Big Dipper glanced at Tang Tang before looking at Yuan and examining her. You do look a bit similar. Sis Feng, who did you have a son with? Before Yuan could respond, Big Dipper's expression shifted. Could it have been Emperor Ji? I think it's more likely to be Lord Azura. 7 Star was pensive. What? Sis Feng and Lord Azura secretly had a son together? Big Dipper cried out. No wonder. No wonder Sis Feng and Lord Azura. Big Dipper clucked his tongue. Yuan glanced at Big Dipper and 7 Star, disinclined to explain anything to them. Ha ha ha. Big Dipper walked toward Tang Tang and knelt down in front of the child. He stared at Tang Tang and grinned. This little urchin has a rather exquisite face. Come, give Big Brother a hug. Tang Tang merely glanced at Big Dipper before turning to Yuan. Mommy, you've worked hard. Yuan was startled and reflexively asked, what did I work hard on? Mommy has to work with dimwits like this every day, Tang Tang answered expressionlessly. Yuan, Big Dipper, 7 Star, Sis Feng, isn't your son too arrogant? Why did he call 7 Star a dimwit for no reason? Big Dipper questioned indignantly. 7 Star glanced at Big Dipper. He's talking about you. My son has always been this arrogant. Yuan stared at Big Dipper. Before Big Dipper could protest, a knock rang on the door. Enter, Yuan called out. Third Elder Li Si opened the door and strode into the office. President, Li Si respectfully greeted Yuan. What is it, Third Elder? Asked Yuan. Well, the eldest young master of the Shen family wants to see the president, Third Elder answered honestly. Yuan was surprised. Eldest young master Shen wanted to see the president of the Fearless Alliance. That was rather strange. Yuan could understand why that filthy rich moneybags went to the Nie residence, but the Fearless Alliance once stole money from the Shen family. Logically speaking, the Fearless Alliance and the Shen family should have a hostile relationship, so why did the filthy rich young master Shen want to see her? Chapter 1522, Sis Feng, the visitors definitely aren't friendly. The Shen family must be here to seek retribution. Big Dipper quickly said. How many people from the Shen family are here? Yuan asked Third Elder. Not many, just 7 or 8, Third Elder answered. 7 or 8 people. Then they probably weren't here for retribution. If they were, they would have simply charged inside without a word. Moreover, the filthy rich Shen family gave her a bar of gold as a greeting gift. So they probably wouldn't insist on splitting hairs about the past, right? Alright, got it. Yi Wanwan nodded. Bring eldest young Master Shen into my office in 5 minutes. Understood. Li Si nodded and retreated. Ever since Yi Wanwan got drunk last time, Li Si had thrown away all his suspicions about Yi Wanwan and wholeheartedly considered Yi Wanwan the president of the Fearless Alliance and believed in her unconditionally. After Li Si left, Yi Wanwan switched into a black outfit, wore a French-style aristocratic hat, and covered the lower half of her face with a black veil. Eldest young Master Shen saw her at the Nie residence earlier, so she couldn't allow him to recognize her. She also had Tang Tang stay hidden on the side. 5 minutes later, eldest young master led 7 or 8 men into Yi Wanwan's office. So you're President Fearless? Eldest young Master Shen hid behind his entourage of experts and only revealed a pair of eyes as he appraised Yi Wanwan. May I ask why eldest young Master Shen is visiting me today? Yi Wanwan sounded apathetic. President Fearless, back then, you stole from our Shen family's wealth, so you must be feeling guilty and immensely scared to see me today, right? Eldest young Master Shen shouted loudly as he hid behind his guards. Who's afraid of whom? All those experts you brought here must be responsible for protecting you, right? You're hiding behind other people but calling me scared? Did eldest young Master Shen come here today simply to ask me if I'm scared? Yi Wanwan asked. President Bai, in truth, you don't need to be too scared. Our Shen family has nothing but money. No one in the Shen family actually remembers that you stole money from the Shen family, eldest young Master Shen said. Big Dipper interjected, if no one remembers, why did you mention that we stole money from you as soon as you entered? I wager you remember better than anyone. Eldest young Master Shen, what do you want? Why don't you speak frankly instead of beating around the bush? Yi Wanwan was rather exasperated. Why did the landlord's foolish son come here? Eldest young Master Shen waved his hand and gestured for the accompanying experts to move aside. Our Shen family places the greatest importance on manners. I'm visiting the Fearless Alliance today, and it's my first time meeting everyone today, so I can't be lacking in greeting gifts. Eldest young Master Shen took out a bar of gold immediately and handed it to 7 Star. Here, take it. Don't be polite. 7 Star turned to Yi Wanwan and only accepted it after seeing Yi Wanwan nod. Thank you, young Master Shen. Come, you have one too. Eldest young Master Shen stuffed a gold bar into Big Dipper's hand. Brother Shen. Big Dipper looked at him. Brother Shen, why are you so polite? From now on, we're brothers. You're the elder brother, and I'm the younger brother. If you need anything, just tell me, Brother Shen. What's your phone number, Brother Shen? Here's my number, Yi Wanwan facepalmed as she watched Big Dipper. What a disgrace. Come, President Bai. Here's yours. Eldest young Master Shen promptly walked forward and handed a gold bar to Yi Wanwan. Chapter 1523 Yi Wanwan accepted the gold bar with a beam. Young Master Shen, you're truly too polite. Oh, right, my 2 good friends are here too, eldest young Master Shen was startled. Where are they? Tell them to come out. Great White, Little Black. Yi Wanwan immediately called toward a corner of the office. Virus and Great White both yawned and leisurely sauntered toward them. Eldest young Master Shen, Sis Feng. You're much. Why do Great White and Virus need a greeting gift? Big Dipper spun around to look at eldest young Master Shen. Brother Shen. My mom was hit by a car earlier and is currently in the hospital. How about you wait a moment, and I'll make a trip to the hospital and bring my mom here. Get lost. Yi Wanwan yelled at Big Dipper. Big Dipper looked embarrassed and didn't say anything else. Li Si, Yi Wanwan called. Third Elder pushed open the door. What are your instructions, President? Eldest young Master Shen wants to give you a greeting gift, Yi Wanwan said. Huh? Li Si was taken back. He hadn't had any interactions with eldest young Master Shen, so what did the president mean by a greeting gift? Before Li Si could think further, a gold bar appeared in front of him. Li Si reflexively accepted the gold bar and weighed it in his hand. Ha, eldest young Master Shen, you're too polite. Coming here to visit was fine, but why did you bring presents? Eldest young Master Shen, there are many brothers inside the Fearless Alliance still, Li Si said to eldest young Master Shen with a bright smile. Third elder, how could you be like this? My brother Shen might be rich, but he shouldn't be used like this. Big Dipper smiled at the dumbfounded eldest young Master Shen and said, Brother Shen, my mom is still at the hospital, enough. Yi Wanwan impatiently waved her hand. If news of this got out, where would the Fearless Alliance put their face? Did the Fearless Alliance lack money? Although the Fearless Alliance's finances were a bit tight lately, they had to maintain their image. Young Master Shen, don't worry. We were just joking with you. Our Fearless Alliance isn't greedy for money, Yi Wanwan comforted with a smile. Eldest young Master Shen was enraged instantly. What do you mean, President Bai? Does our Shen family lack money? Do I lack money? The Shen family has nothing except for money. You're looking down on me. Fine then. Yi Wanwan was exasperated and turned to Li Si. Go and summon all of the brothers and sisters in the Fearless Alliance here. Eldest young Master Shen has greeting gifts for them. Before Li Si could answer, eldest young Master Shen laughed and interrupted, No, I didn't bring so many bars of gold this time. Next time. Ha, next time, alright. Did young Master Shen come here today just to give us greeting gifts? Yi Wanwan asked. President Bai, the Shen family is holding a banquet in 3 days. At that time, all the famous big shots of the independent state will come, so please attend as well, President Bai. Eldest young Master Shen proceeded to take out several invitations and handed them to Yi Wanwan and the others. Breakup banquet, Yi Wanwan's lips twitched. Did eldest young Master Shen have to make it so that everyone in the independent state knew about a mere breakup? Did he find it honorable? As long as you attend the Shen family's banquet, you'll receive luxurious presents, eldest young Master Shen said jubilantly. Big Dipper's eyes brightened, and he grabbed eldest young Master Shen's hand. Brother Shen, give me 2 invitations. I also want to attend. Eldest young Master Shen stared at Big Dipper with scrutiny. He only wanted to invite famous big shots in the independent state though. Chapter 1524 Unable to withstand Big Dipper's pitiful begging, eldest young Master Shen ended up helplessly handing him 2 invitations for the breakup banquet. Brother Shen, take care. Call me if you need me. Big Dipper stood at the door and called out to eldest young Master Shen's back. Yi Wanwan was rendered speechless by Big Dipper's behavior. Big Dipper was probably nameless Nye's biological long-lost brother. One for you, one for me. Big Dipper took out 1 invitation and handed it to 7 Star. 7 Star, Sis Feng, eldest young Master Shen is truly a money bag. We have to stay in close contact with Brother Shen from now on, Big Dipper said to Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan glanced at him but didn't respond. Sis Feng, are you going to the Shen family's banquet? 7 Star asked her. Yi Wanwan pondered over it for a moment before replying, since he gave us invitations, of course we have to go. Nonsense. We'll get extravagant presents if we go to the Shen family's banquet. Didn't you hear Brother Shen say he'll give presents to anyone who comes? Whoever isn't going, give me your invitations, Big Dipper quickly said. After Big Dipper and 7 Star left, Tang Tang walked out from his hiding spot and sat next to Yi Wanwan docilely. Yi Wanwan was currently taking care of some documents concerning the Fearless Alliance. Mommy, Tang Tang called out softly as he looked at the documents in her hands. Yi Wanwan looked up. What is it, Tang Tang? There are some problems with the documents Mommy just finished, Tang Tang replied. Huh? Yi Wanwan was startled. Some problems. But she didn't think there were any problems. Tang Tang pulled one of the documents back out and said, "Mommy, the Ling family is located in the Prison Alliance's territory. If the Fearless Alliance wants to attack the Ling family, they would have to obtain Prison's agreement or else it'll result in great trouble." Yuan Wan, Tang Tang's too awesome. Mommy didn't notice. Yuan Wan couldn't resist pinching Tang Tang's fair and delicate cheeks. Most of the daily affairs concerning the Fearless Alliance mostly involved attacking some faction, but Yuan Wan wasn't proficient in this area. She was thankful for Tang Tang's reminder today, or else she would have provoked a disaster. "Mommy, it looks like your skills in handling business affairs aren't too great, so can Tang Tang work with Mommy at the Fearless Alliance from now on?" Tang Tang asked while looking at Yuan Wan. Yuan Wan didn't know how to reply. She wanted to bring Tang Tang to the Fearless Alliance to work every day, but the Nye family definitely wouldn't allow it. After Yuan Wan finished taking care of all the tedious business, she drove Tang Tang and herself back to the Nye district. That night, Yuan Wan stayed in Tang Tang's room. In the next few days, Yuan Wan went to the Fearless Alliance during the day and returned to the Nye residence to keep Tang Tang company in the evening. She didn't forget about piece of shit, Ishuihan's request, but the investigation was a bit difficult. Yuan Wan couldn't figure out where to start. In truth, the simplest method was to check their DNA, but Yuan Wan learned that Worryless Nye already had her DNA checked, and it matched with Madame Nye and Patriarch Nye's DNA and proved she was Tang Tang's biological mother. If Yuan Wan only based the investigation off of that, Worryless Nye wasn't a fake. Ishuihan wasn't dumb though, so he probably knew they checked their DNA already, so why did he still request her help to investigate? Chapter 1525 Late at night, Yuan Wan laid on the bed while embracing Tang Tang. She called out softly, "Tang Tang." "Mommy, I'm not asleep yet," Tang Tang replied quickly. "Don't you like your mommy, Tang Tang?" Yuan Wan asked with a tinge of confusion. Tang Tang hugged Yuan Wan tightly. "Tang Tang likes mommy, I'm talking about your biological mom," Yuan Wan said. Tang Tang sunk into silence. A moment later, he said, "It's not that I dislike my biological mommy, I just like you more, mommy." Yuan Wan smacked a kiss on Tang Tang's cheek. Immediately, Tang Tang returned a kiss on her cheek. "Tang Tang, what was your mom like before?" Yuan Wan asked. "Mommy left as soon as I was born," Tang Tang answered. Yuan Wan's heart ached as she looked at Tang Tang. Poor baby Tang Tang, he didn't have parents since he was born. Paternal and maternal love were probably very strange to him, huh? For some reason, Yuan Wan wanted to give everything she had to Tang Tang, but unfortunately, she didn't have anything. Although she knew she wasn't Tang Tang's biological mother, she had an indescribable feeling toward Tang Tang from the first time she met him. Yuan Wan herself didn't know why, but she inexplicably treated him like her own son. Yuan Wan would often even think about how good it'd be if Tang Tang was really her child. "Tang Tang, did you and your mom check your DNA?" Yuan Wan asked. "It was checked before she returned home. There weren't any problems," Tang Tang answered. Yuan Wan nodded. That was somewhat strange then. Or perhaps, Worryless Nye wasn't a fake, and Ishuihan was merely overly cautious. If even Worryless Nye's DNA was verified, what was there for her to investigate? Wouldn't she be making a mountain out of a molehill? However, if someone dared to pretend to be a daughter of the Nye family, they must have made adequate preparations beforehand. So could the DNA be wrong or faked? Yuan Wan thought to herself. If her guess was true and even the Nye family, one of the four great clans of the independent state, was deceived, then this matter definitely wouldn't be so simple. If that Worryless Nye was truly fake and she relentlessly pursued it, her life might be at risk. Yuan Wan was lost in thought for a moment. Who am I right now? The president of the Fearless Alliance. I'm one of the most infamous people in the independent state, bro flat top / by phone. People are afraid of me. How could I be afraid of other people instead? Moreover, The Fearless Alliance is now completely under my control, and all of the camps have pledged allegiance to me. As long as the real bro Flat Top doesn't come back, I'm by phone. Even if I relentlessly pursue this matter and, to take it further, brazenly investigate this matter, who would dare to cause trouble with my Fearless Alliance? Oh right, Tang Tang, can mommy ask for your help with something? Yi Wanwan quietly asked while looking at Tang Tang. Yes, mommy, tell me. Tang Tang nodded. Yi Wanwan leaned close to Tang Tang's ear. Tang Tang looked a bit astonished when he heard what she said. Mommy, why, do you want that? Be good, Tang Tang. Mommy can't tell you yet, but can Tang Tang do it? Yi Wanwan smiled. Chapter 1526, 1526. Tang Tang mulled over it for a moment before agreeing, yes. I can do it. Tang Tang must remember that this is a secret between Tang Tang and mommy. Tang Tang can't tell everyone, understand? Yi Wanwan emphasized. Yes, I understand, Tang Tang replied. Only then did Yi Wanwan resolve a troublesome matter. No matter what, she couldn't treat any matter regarding Tang Tang lightly. It would be fine if that worryless Nya was real. If she was a fake, the thought was terrifying. As long as Tang Tang did as she said, the truth of the matter would be known. She could give Yi Shuehan an answer even if that worryless Nya was the real thing. The next day, after Yi Wanwan reviewed the documents at the Fearless Alliance, she didn't return to the Nya residence and drove to the Shin district instead. Shin district, the home of the Shin family, one of the independent state's 4 great clans. Yi Wanwan looked at the invitation in her hand. She followed the address written on the invitation and parked near the Shin residence. As soon as Yi Wanwan exited the car, a group of men in well-ironed suits immediately walked forward and shouted, "No parking near the Shin residence." However, before Yi Wanwan could respond, one of the men caught a glimpse of the invitation in Yi Wanwan's hand. Apologies. Are you here to attend the banquet? The arrogance disappeared from the man's face. Yi Wanwan nodded. Eldest young master Shin's breakup banquet. Oh, it's a misunderstanding. Please follow me. The man smiled courteously and bowed as he made a please gesture with his arm. Many pretty women from the independent state would loiter around the Shin residence, especially during banquets. Nearly all the people attending the Shin family's banquet were famous powerful figures in the independent state, so women could live the rest of their lives worry-free if they managed to fish one or two. They had just arrived in the Shin residence's proximity when the man's phone started ringing. Apologies, the man looked at Yi Wanwan, embarrassed. No worries, Yi Wanwan replied. After gaining her permission, the man accepted the call. What are you saying, eldest young master? You want me to go and receive Lord Azura? I'm receiving a lady right now, the man's expression shifted. Yi Wanwan was immediately interested at the mention of Lord Azura. Could it be that eldest young master Shin even managed to invite Lord Azura to his breakup banquet? What? Emperor Ji as well? You want me to receive Emperor Ji as well? Yi Wanwan's lips twitched. She had probably underestimated this landlord's foolish son. Not only did he invite her, the president of the Fearless Alliance, but he also invited Lord Azura. He even managed to get a hold of Ji Shuran. What a great accomplishment. Honorable lady, apologies, but can you please wait for me here? Eldest young master ordered me to bring over 2 important guests first. May I? The man inquired while looking at her after hanging up. Sure, no worries. Do what you need first, Yi Wanwan agreed with a nod. Honorable lady, wait here and don't walk around carelessly. Also, don't enter the Shin residence by yourself. The Shin residence is too large, so you'd definitely get lost without my guidance. Then the man left without looking back. Yi Wanwan, why did it sound a bit patronizing? The Shin residence was too large, so she'd get lost? What kind of meme is that? After the male host left, Yi Wanwan patiently waited by the sidewalk. Don't tell me he's going to bring over both Lord Azura and Ji Shuran in a bit. Chapter 1527. Before Yi Wanwan could ponder over it anymore, she was shoved from behind. Yi Wanwan turned around and stared at the prettily dressed young girls in front of her. What? Yi Wanwan furrowed her brows. She didn't know or recognize these girls. Ha, don't you know the rules? One of the good-looking girls glanced at Yi Wanwan. You're dressed so innocent and cute, are you planning to hook some men near the Shin residence too? What pen did a pheasant like you crawl out of? Don't you know first come first served? Who allowed you to stand here? Yi Wanwan turned pensive when she heard that. Nameless Nya once mentioned that dozens of decent-looking girls would dress meticulously every time the Shin family held a banquet, then loiter near the Shin residence. If they could run into a romantic relationship, by chance, they might be able to soar to success. It appeared these girls were those girls who considered themselves decent-looking mentioned by Nameless Nya. Based on their tone, it appeared they thought she was like them. The leading girl snorted and said as she stared at Yi Wanwan, "Ha, you have good looks, but unfortunately, you don't know how to behave properly. It wouldn't be good if your face was scratched." Yi Wanwan swept her eyes over them but couldn't scrounge up even a tinge of desire to acknowledge them. Bitch, Sis Zhou is talking to you. Are you deaf? Haven't you heard of Yun City's Zhou family? Don't you know the eldest miss of the Zhou family? A girl shouted while glaring at Yi Wanwan. Nearly all these girls came from patrician families and could be considered socialites, but they were as different as day and night from those truly prestigious patrician families and weren't qualified to attend the Shin family's banquets, so they could only linger outside. And rumors claimed that eldest young Master Shin's ex-girlfriend was also a girl that lingered outside like them. Little sis, your target couldn't possibly be eldest young Master Shin, right? The leading girl questioned coldly. However, Yi Wanwan silently stood in her spot and didn't respond to them. Heh. If you're planning to go after eldest young Master Shin, I'm advising you to give up now. Eldest young Master Shin is mine, do you understand? The leading girl sneered. Yi Wanwan wasn't paying attention to what these women were saying at all though. Her eyes were locked onto the distance. Ji Shuran was dressed in a casual outfit and had a faint smile on his lips. Meanwhile, the man to the left of Ji Shuran wore an aloof expression, and his eyes looked like they harbored a millennium-old glacier. As soon as the two men appeared, the girls around her gasped in shock. That's Ji Shuran. Emperor Ji. Who's the man next to Emperor Ji? So handsome, I heard Lord Azura was also coming tonight. Someone who could walk next to Emperor Ji. He can't be the legendary Lord Azura, right? Lord Azura. The Master of Azura, one of the three core factions of prison, Lord Azura. Sis Zhou, look. Emperor Ji and Lord Azura are heading toward us. Sis Zhou, Emperor Ji is looking at you. My God, the leading woman smiled faintly and tried to maintain her grace. If it's Emperor Ji, then I don't want eldest young Master Shin anymore, Sis Zhou. Emperor Ji really is looking at you. He's also walking toward us. The girls looked head over heels with excitement. However, to everyone's shock, this group stopped in front of that woman who didn't know the rules. Honorable lady, I've made you wait a long time. My sincere apologies. The male host from the Shin family quickly apologized as soon as he reached Yi Wanwan. No worries, Yi Wanwan replied. Xiao Feng, you're here, Ji Shuran greeted Yi Wanwan. All the socialites around them froze in their spots, incredulous. Yes, Yi Wanwan nodded. Yi Wanwan's eyes landed on Si Yihan. Heh. Lord Azura is in a rather good mood. I didn't expect to see you at eldest young Master Shin's breakup banquet today. Si Yihan looked at her. President Bai Feng is in a better mood. The women standing behind Yi Wanwan were dumbstruck when they heard Lord Azura speak. Sis Zhou and her groupies turned to Yi Wanwan incredulously. Bye. By Feng, the president of the Fearless Alliance. By Feng. Chapter 1528. The women around Yuanwan froze in their spots and turned to Yuanwan incredulously. They originally thought this woman was the same as them. Who would have expected her to be an honored guest invited by the Shin family? More than that, she knew Emperor Ji, and Lord Azura called her president By Feng. By Feng, the leader of the independent states' Fearless Alliance. Sis Zhou looked terrified and ghastly pale. What did she do to Bro Flat Top of the Fearless Alliance? President. President Bai. Just now, Sis Zhou's voice was brimming with panic and distress. However, before Sis Zhou could finish speaking, Yuanwan walked forward with the Shin group without looking back, as though she didn't hear her. An uproar erupted after the group walked into the distance. My God! That woman is the founder of the Fearless Alliance, Bro Flat Top, By Feng. Rumors say Bro Flat Top kills people without blinking, and there aren't any factions who are willing to offend her easily. I didn't expect By Feng to be so young. I originally thought By Feng was vicious and malicious looking with a body full of muscles. This doesn't match at all. This woman wearing a white dress with high heels, who was as beautiful as blooming begonias, was actually Bro Flat Top. Some nearby socialites turned to Sis Zhou and her group and snorted. Miss Zhou, what are you afraid of? What level and status is By Feng, the president of the Fearless Alliance? Why would she seek retribution from you? She probably thought you were heir the entire time, that's right. She's suicidal, putting on airs so haughtily without knowing the other person's identity. She thinks she's all that, but even the entire Zhou family would bow and scrape if they met a member of the Fearless Alliance. Yet, Miss Zhou dared to yell at President Fearless like that. Is she asking for death? Heh. By Feng is a ferocious beast, a tiger. How could you possibly focus on a dog? Don't be so delusional and think President By Feng would seek revenge from you. How ridiculous. Sis Zhou's expression shifted again and again as she listened to the ridicule from the socialites around her but couldn't rebut anything. At the same time, the hosts of the Shin family led Yuanwan, Ji Xiuran, and Lord Azura toward the Shin residence. They didn't talk much on the way there. The three of them walked side by side, and Yuanwan naturally walked next to Ji Xiuran, obviously showcasing who she was familiar and unfamiliar with. Xiao Feng, you should come home for a meal when you're free, Ji Xiuran said with a light chuckle. Yuanwan was startled briefly and nodded in agreement. Sure. Lord Azura's frosty eyes swept over Ji Xiuran. Akin to a light breeze running over the surface of the ocean, Ji Xiuran's light-colored eyes turned to look at the girl, who was dressed in a completely different style than before. Yuanwan turned to look at him when she detected his gaze. What? Ji Xiuran examined the girl. Your attire today, Yuanwan raised her brows. What? Is it really strange? Ji Xiuran replied, it's very beautiful. Right? I also think so. Yuanwan nodded in satisfaction. She didn't believe there were men who weren't suckers for dainty and fragile flowers. At least Si Yihan would gulp up this act. Back then, she just needed to feign some delicacy and weakness, and her pacification would double in effect. Chapter 1529. Ji Xiuran chuckled lightly. I've never seen you dressed like this. Yuanwan purposefully glanced at Lord Azura before matter-of-factly saying, because a girl will doll herself up for a man who loves her. Ji Xiuran smiled but didn't say anything. As for a certain someone, the dead branch he accidentally stepped on just happened to turn into powder. Yuanwan secretly peeked at the man who looked frosty and expressionless, but the aura around him was clearly becoming stifling. As expected. Her instincts were right. As long as Emperor Ji was present, a certain someone was more prone to exposing his flaws. A moment later, the parade of people arrived at the entrance to the Shin residence. Yi Wanwan's lips twitched when she saw the expansive Shin residence, stretching farther than her eyes could see. Was this a residence? This was a freaking palace, right? Yi Wanwan finally understood why that male host said she would get lost in the Shin residence. The sight of the Shin estate rendered her speechless. In front of the Shin estate were two enormous dragon-shaped statues that stretched about 100 meters long and reached dozens of meters in height. They resembled real dragons, vivid and detailed. As Yi Wanwan became engrossed in the two dragon statues, a portly middle-aged man with a prosperous look strolled out of the building and greeted Si Yihan and Ji Xiuran with a benevolent smile. Ha ha ha, Emperor Ji, an honored guest. It's truly been a long time. Thank you for attending the Shin family's banquet today. Your presence brings light to my humble dwelling. Ha, what are you saying, Uncle Shin? It's my honor to be able to attend the Shin family's banquet. Ji Xiuran chuckled lightly. Ha, Emperor Ji is too kind. Patriarch Shin laughed heartily and turned to Lord Azura. Lord Azura, we haven't seen each other for many years, so we must share a few extra drinks today. How about it? Si Yihan nodded at Patriarch Shin and said, Uncle Shin is too polite. Since you're the one asking, I'll oblige, of course. In the independent state, every faction, regardless of its size, had an economic connection with the Shin family, so even the martial arts union would show some degree of respect to the Shin family. Yi Wanwan couldn't help but marvel at the portly middle-aged man. Patriarch Shin didn't put on any airs and was truly friends with every faction. No wonder he controlled the economic lifeline of the independent state and was able to expand his business into every corner of the independent state. Ha, Emperor Ji, Lord Azura, quickly follow me. I've prepared a magnificent gift for the two of you. After Patriarch Shin said that, he grabbed Lord Azura and Ji Xiuran's hands with familiarity and led them into the Shin residence. Yi Wanwan watched as Patriarch Shin left while holding Lord Azura's hand with one hand and Ji Xiuran's with the other hand. Why did this feel a bit weird? Honorable lady, please show us your invitation, a Shin family attendant said to Yi Wanwan with a smile. Yi Wanwan immediately handed her invitation to the woman. Before the woman could say anything, eldest young Master Shin suddenly walked to their spot, his eyes emitting light as he intently stared at Yi Wanwan and shook his head while clucking his tongue. Beautiful miss, we meet again. I'm truly happy to see you. If you didn't come, my banquet would have been utterly meaningless, eldest young Master Shin said to Yi Wanwan in an over-the-top manner. The breakup banquet you're holding doesn't have a freaking thing to do with whether I come or not, okay? Here. Take this. Eldest young Master Shin took out a bank card from somewhere and handed it to Yi Wanwan. This, Yi Wanwan was bewildered as she stared at the bank card stuffed into her hand. Chapter 1530, It doesn't have a PIN code. Eldest young Master Shin said. No, I'm saying, use it however you want, he added. Yi Wanwan, is this my gift for attending the banquet? Yi Wanwan asked with a frown. Of course. Everyone has one, but some people get gold bricks while other people get jewelry, a house, or a car. You though, you get a bank card. Eldest young Master Shin looked immensely proud. Let me kneel before you, Lord Moneybags. Come, beautiful miss, let me show you the guardian deities in front of my house. Eldest young Master Shin acted like a peacock displaying his tail feathers. He eagerly trailed after Yi Wanwan and introduced the two vivid, realistic-looking dragons standing in front of the Shin residence to her. What eldest young Master Shin didn't notice was two pairs of eyes imperceptibly glancing at him and Yi Wanwan frequently. He just felt a chill run down his back for some reason. Years ago, my father had a famous master sculpt these statues. The materials aren't typical at all. Do you know how much one dragon costs? Eldest young Master Shin asked Yi Wanwan. How much? Yi Wanwan was curious. This dragon looked like it would cost at least 2 million probably. Seriously filthy rich. Eldest young Master Shin put out 5 fingers. 5 million. Yi Wanwan was startled. Wasn't this too freaking extravagant? +10. Eldest young master Shin chuckled. 1 million. Yi Wanwan asked. Eldest young master Shin shook his head. 50 million. That's not called +10, that's freaking called times 10. In other words, just the 2 dragon statues in front of the Shin residence's entrance cost 100 million. How about you give these 2 statues to me? Yi Wanwan asked as she turned to eldest young master Shin. The young master started, as though he didn't expect Yi Wanwan to suggest that. If you want them, I can hire a famous master to sculpt 2 for you. These are old now, how can I give old ones to you? Don't. I'm just joking. Please don't take it seriously, Yi Wanwan hastily refused. Even if this landlord's foolish son really made 2 for her, she wouldn't have anywhere to put them. Moreover, the cost was astronomical, she couldn't accept it. Ha ha ha, old pal Shen. Before Yi Wanwan could continue, nameless Nya appeared behind her and cupped his fists at eldest young master Shen. Brother Nya, here, this is yours. Eldest young master Shen promptly took out a brick of gold and handed it to nameless Nya. Look at you, old pal Shen. You're so polite in spite of our familiarity. Nameless Nya looked displeased, but he quickly put away the gold brick. Sister Famous, you also came. Only after putting away the gold brick did he notice Yi Wanwan. I just arrived, Yi Wanwan answered. Yi Wanwan was about to ask nameless Nya if Tang Tang was home when several groups of young men and women holding themselves ramrod straight walked toward them. Scarlet Flames Academy, Stars and Sun Academy, Dawn Clouds Academy, waves of gasps were heard around them when people saw these groups. These 3 groups of young men and women were all at least SS-level mercenary students in the 3 great mercenary academies. Some people even discovered SSS-level mercenary students in there. Senior brother Shen, we've arrived. I wish you a happy breakup. An SSS-level mercenary student from Scarlet Flames tried to conjecture words of congratulations for half a day but couldn't find anything suitable, so he had no choice but to bless eldest young master Shen truthfully with an embarrassed expression. Senior brother Shen. Yi Wanwan was surprised. She quietly asked nameless Nya, eldest young master Shen is also a student of Scarlet Flames Academy. Chapter 1531 Nameless Nya nodded. Of course. Don't underestimate old pal Shen, but he's one of the few SSS-level mercenaries at Scarlet Flames Academy. 3S level. Yi Wanwan looked surprised and started to re-examine eldest young master Shen. 3S level could be considered the peak of martial arts already. Unless they encountered top bosses in the independent state, they could do whatever they wanted. There were even some top 3S level mercenaries who could challenge the top bosses of the independent state and defeat them. Of course, piece of shit, Shui Han, was an exception to this. Yi Wanwan couldn't help but feel confused. Didn't people previously say that the Shin family was only composed of businessmen and they didn't emphasize martial arts? So why was the eldest young master of the Shin family a 3S level mercenary student at the Scarlet Flames Academy? She would have a whole new level of respect for eldest young master Shin from now on. Hey, what did I tell you? Don't refer to me as senior brother Shin. Call me by my mercenary alias. Eldest young master Shin furrowed his brows. The 3S level mercenary from Scarlet Flames Academy was startled before nodding frantically. Yes. Senior brother Grim Reaper, I made a mistake. After they reached a certain level, every mercenary would start using their alias instead of their own name. For example, even though very few people knew Nameless Nya's name in the independent state, if someone said Nameless Nya's alias, it would be thunder to everyone's ears. However, Yi Wanwan also didn't know Nameless Nya's alias either. Grim Reaper. Yi Wanwan looked at eldest young master Shin incredulously, her mouth slightly agape. An elder from the Fearless Alliance once mentioned that a 3S-level mercenary student from the Scarlet Flames Academy whose alias was Grim Reaper used to run amok without any inhibition in the independent state. Their martial strength was tremendous. Yi Wanwan never would have expected the eldest young master of the Shin family to be a 3S-level mercenary of Scarlet Flames Academy. Grim Reaper, you're Grim Reaper? Yi Wanwan looked at eldest young master Shin reverently. The one and only. Eldest young master Shin smiled. Before Yi Wanwan could continue worshipping him, Nameless Nya whispered in Yi Wanwan's ear, "Old pal Shin bought his title with money. Bought it with money?" Yi Wanwan looked baffled. What does he mean? Ahem, Nameless Nya looked embarrassed as he quietly explained to Yi Wanwan. 2 years ago, Old pal Shin sought out Grim Reaper of Scarlet Flames Academy and used a large amount of money to buy his alias. So in terms of copyright, Grim Reaper now belongs to Old pal Shin. Yi Wanwan was dumbfounded. This kind of maneuver existed? You could buy an alias too. You have to understand the principle, money will make the devil turn millstones. Nameless Nya giggled. Then, eldest young master Shin's 3S mercenary ranking couldn't have been bought too, right? Yi Wanwan asked. Oh. That definitely isn't bought. Nameless Nya shook his head frantically. A mercenary's ranking is decided according to their contribution level. Old pal Shin contributed a large number of weapons to Scarlet Flames Academy, renovated the entire academy, and built hundreds of luxurious dormitories. His contributions to Scarlet Flames Academy were immense, so he used his contribution points to squeeze into the ranks of 3S mercenaries. How is this not a freaking purchase? Don't underestimate young Master Shin. He completely fits the qualifications of a 3S-level mercenary and has completed the most difficult, highest-starred mission of Scarlet Flames multiple times. Nameless Nya continued. For example, Yi Wanwan didn't understand. I remember one of the missions was stealing something from Azura. Think about it, which normal mercenary would dare to rob Azura? However, Old pal Shin dared to rob Azura single-handedly. Nameless Nya gave a thumbs up. And then, Yi Wanwan found it unbelievable that Azura just allowed the matter to slide. And then, Old pal Shin gave dozens of millions of dollars to Azura, and this matter was resolved, Nameless Nya answered. Yi Wanwan, wow, this is very extravagant. Chapter 1532. So eldest young Master Shin completed those highly difficult missions in this manner. Although it was done by throwing money at people, he had the money, so what could you say? Today, Yi Wanwan confirmed one thing. As long as you had money, everything was easily resolvable. As long as you had money, you could even slap the martial arts union's president. Worst came to worst, you could give money to the martial arts union. Easy peasy. Forget about Azura. If eldest young Master Shin robbed the Fearless Alliance, he could rob her however he wanted as long as he gave her money. She would even cooperate with him and wait at the designated location for him to rob her or pretend to be defeated by him with a single finger. What are you saying? Eldest young Master Shin asked curiously and returned to them after escorting the groups of young men and women inside the Shin residence. Nothing. Just praising how awesome you are, Yi Wanwan answered with a smile. That's right. Old pal Shin is the best. Nameless Nya nodded frantically. Ah, you're too polite. I'm only a so-so, but there isn't a single problem in the independent state that I can't resolve or settle. I'm sure you've heard of my alias as the Grim Reaper, so I don't need to say it explicitly. Eldest young Master Shin looked very proud of himself. Yi Wanwan grinned and gave eldest young Master Shin a thumbs up. Being rich is also a type of ability. Moreover, Yi Wanwan could do nothing but accept this type of ability. Only now did Yi Wanwan clearly realize that the Shin family was probably the strongest faction in the entire independent state. No faction would become enemies with the Shin family, and countless people wanted to ingratiate themselves with the Shin family. Let's go, what are we standing around for? Eldest young Master Shen smiled and led Yuan and nameless Nya into the Shen estate. Ah, my home is truly too large. I should have driven my car here, eldest young Master Shen smiled helplessly. Yuan, nameless Nya said, old pal Shen, awesome. Yuan examined the Shen estate. It had to be said that the residence was extremely gigantic and stretched farther than the eye could see. Truthfully speaking, it wouldn't be a problem for eldest young Master Shen to drive a car around. Oh right, old pal Shen, say, why are you throwing such great fanfare about a breakup? Nameless Nya asked the man with incomprehension. Eldest young Master Shen took out a cigarette and lit it. Then he deeply inhaled and blew a ring of smoke before turning to look at nameless Nya. A breakup should be dignified. That's true. Old pal Shen, your breakup is different from a normal person's breakup, so it should be full of dignity. Nameless Nya nodded vehemently. I also thought so at first. Eldest young Master Shen suddenly turned around and looked at Yuan, his lips turning up. I want to change this breakup banquet into a wooing banquet. What do you think? Yuan was startled. What does changing a breakup banquet into a wooing banquet have anything to do with me? This landlord's foolish son can't possibly want to woo me, right? Beautiful miss, do you have a boyfriend? Are you married? Eldest young Master Shen suddenly asked. Before Yuan could reply, nameless Nya's eyes brightened, and he quickly answered, no. How could she possibly be married or have a boyfriend? She's completely single, okay? Yuan, you freaking answered so fast. Brother Shen, to be honest, I was deeply attracted by this miss since the first time I saw her, eldest young Master Shen said with deep affection. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.